It has arrived again with great anticipation. A Saturday night we share is an annual summer tradition in the state of Kansas. With purpose, pride, and a commitment to a greater cause, we turn the page to the next edition of an honorable game that allows us all to make a difference. Greetings, folks. Alongside Kansas Shrine Bowl Hall of Famer Stan Weber, I'm Mark Ewing, and welcome to Dodge City. Good to see you again, Stan. We've done this now 25 years in a row, so happy silver anniversary.
Yeah, it's been great to work with you in the Shrine Bowl. What a great tradition. 52nd straight game, and the second time we've been able to have this game in Dodge City.
Now, two things we always see: extraordinary talent in an atmosphere of giving.
Absolutely. So many people are involved to help these Shriner kids. Obviously, the Shriners in the state of Kansas, all kinds of volunteers. But I also want to focus in on the 18-year-olds, the 19-year-olds, the guys who are playing the game. They actually are doing something to create revenue that will help out the hospitals. Strong legs are going to run tonight, so weak legs can walk.
And it certainly is a lengthy list of preparations that make this a showcase event.
No doubt about it. You know, you're a year ahead in the start, and then it ramps up in more detail. Every city has their own take on it, and there's a great pride. You saw that in Dodge City. The town is on fire. The parade this morning with the players and the band, so many activities, but everyone has to get ready for it, and that includes a bunch of people.
Well, in addition to the lengthy list of preparations, it all begins with the camps. The camps in Ottawa for the East Camp. The West Camp was in Hutchinson. Let's take you inside as the teams prepare for the Kansas Shrine Bowl.
Go. Good. If we are victorious, when we are victorious, you'll remember that daggum day and night in this week for the rest of your daggum life. All right? 3, 2, 1. West side.
Have to cover. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he's going to yell, right, right, right. Unless he punches you. Hey, here's where you know you've got great culture. Culture, I think, is the most important thing for a high school program to have. But when you have good culture, all coaches have to do is ask. That's the character part of it. Leadership, in my opinion, is doing things that need to be done without being told to do them.
East! East!
There we go. Yeah.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay then, let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions. Home to possibility and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
There are nearly 4,000 members of the Kansas Shriner Centers that are located in 5 places in Kansas: Overland Park, Stan, Pittsburgh, Topeka, Salina, and Wichita. The Kansas Shrine Bowl has 2 primary purposes. One, financial aid and support of the children's hospitals, events like this one, and for this game in particular, the promotion of Kansas high school sports and its top athletes. 2024, the event in Emporia a year ago resulted in a contribution of $150,000. That was the second largest contribution in the long history of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, and they do it by having a lot of events during the week.
Yeah, they do, and it's a great celebration. So many people are involved. Obviously, we're going to end up with a football game today, but other things were going on. So many people involved, and let's take a look at who is doing what during this week.
And it started off with a golf tournament. How about yesterday at Mariah Hills Golf Course? The 4-person scramble format included whole prizes and additional fundraising games and opportunities available on tournament day. I'm sure there was some bragging. They probably had a few birdies, a few pars, and this is an event that included cart, breakfast, lunch, and prizes for a fee, and it always is a good event. But this is the reason that they come to this is the cheer and band hospital experience. This was the players, and this happened yesterday. And regarded one of the most rewarding parts of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, this hospital visitation day took place in front of 3 different audiences, including the football teams.
Well, this is when you get to change your life. Being an ex-player in the Shrine Bowl, when I got to meet these children and say what they go through, see how they fight through it and don't have anything but a smile on their face, and then you can help them by getting contributions and earning money by playing in this game. It is humbling and changing life experience.
The United Wireless Arena Conference Center here in Dodge City was the host site for the Shrine Bowl band on Thursday. The cheerleaders, respective football squads, were in attendance yesterday. Traditionally, the players have visited the hospital in St. Louis, but in 2011, a new twist to the day was installed in an effort to involve more people and to send even more funds to the hospitals. The Kansas Shrine Bowl brought the hospital to Kansas. The experience certainly serves as an eye-opener for all the participants. This was the FCA luncheon that happened also, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They have a nice building and a facility located in Dodge City. And notice the East team and the West team, they're not separated. They do this together.
There's so many events that they do together at the end of the week, and it's really amazing, including the pregame meal. They both are in the same room getting ready, so they understand the cause is bigger than just them.
And then the Dodge City Civic Center over on First Avenue arrived as the host site for the Charity Carnival. The event provided the opportunity for members of the community to say hello to one another and officially welcome the game and its fans to the city. Community business members, game sponsors, players, cheerleaders, and band members were in attendance. But this is when it really begins. It starts to get real when the parade happens, when down 2nd Avenue in Dodge City, and this is always a fun part of the game.
Yeah, because the Shriners get to show off. I mean, they have so many fun events. They love parades. The players, people could clap for them and say, hey, get ready. We're excited to see you play tonight. But the Shriners are the star of the show in the parade in Dodge City.
And this parade was well attended. A lot of fans on hand to see it, and really a terrific event to all to see the cheerleaders, the band, and that happened at 10 o'clock this morning, which brings us to the present. More of the pregame festivities are going to be coming up as we get closer to game time. Leon Liebel is going to have a conversation with Executive Director Bryce Kessler. The Shrine Bowl pregame show from Dodge City continues first, though, with a look at Kansas Shrine Bowl ambassador Colton Metzler.
We knew when I was pregnant with him that there was something going on. We didn't quite know for sure what. When he was born 6 weeks premature. And, you know, until he was born, we didn't have a definite diagnosis.
I had fibular hemimelia, which is the complete or partial absence of your fibula. And so I didn't have it in my lower leg, and I had 4 toes, and then my ankle was growing like at an abnormal angle, kind of down and out.
When we first met with Dr. Schenecker, he told us we basically had 2 options, the first being limb lengthening and reconstruction of that ankle. He said they probably wouldn't do that until he was 8 or 9 years old. Second option would have been a Symes amputation at the ankle and fitting with a prosthetic. Probably the hardest part, my husband will say, of the whole journey was handing him over to the nurse the day of surgery. But, you know, we handed him over, we said a little prayer, and the good Lord took care of him, so.
I think I've had like 9 or 10 legs as of this point in my life.
And I would have to agree, if we had to make the same decision, we'd do it all over again. We walked through those doors, and you could literally feel the warmth, the love, and the caring. Before we even talked to anybody, you could just feel it as you walked through those doors.
They're not the doctors, they're your family. They're just part of your family, and you feel like they got your back. You can feel like the warmth and the love that they have to offer.
You tell him he can't do something or he's not able to do something because he has a prosthetic, and he's going to prove you wrong.
I like to say that, you know, everybody laughs at me for being different, but you need to laugh at them because they're all the same. So you're sticking out for a reason, and go and chase your dreams because anything's possible to set your mind to it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay then, let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Possibility. At Shriners Children's, we deliver healing to kids with critical burn injuries, like game-changing advances in regenerative medicine and creating the highest standard of care. We never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs, proving time and again what's possible by empowering the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Leon Liebel, along with the Executive Director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Bryce Kessler. And Bryce, good to see you again. I get to see you once a year at the Shrine Bowl. And this is your second game as the Executive Director. How's everything going for you?
Hey, it's going great. Good to see you as well, Leon, and everybody back here, the whole crew, for another great week. It's a busy week. It's a stressful week at times, but it's a rewarding week, and we're looking forward to capping it off with a great ball game here tonight.
Shrine Bowl is played all across the state of Kansas, and east, west, and really far west again for the second time here in Dodge City, southwest Kansas. And how's that gone for you so far?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, you definitely can tell that they're excited to have the game back out here in Dodge City, and everybody's been so, welcoming and accommodating to make it happen. There's a lot of logistics that have to be put into place for an event this size with all the band and the cheer and the football teams, and then, of course, just all the Shriners and everybody that come to town to be a part of it. So a lot of moving pieces. It takes a lot of people to be working hard and extra hard and using off time to be on for us. And so we were very grateful for all the support out here, and it's been a great time.
And I know one thing the people here in Dodge City are very proud of now is the renovations made to this stadium. Memorial Stadium, I believe it opened in 1968, and it was here in 2019, the Shrine Bowl, but it looks a lot different than it did then.
Yeah, and I wasn't a part of the game in 19, but a lot of our board of directors were, and some of the coaches actually on this year's staff were here in 2019. And the stadium is amazing. It's a great venue for our game to host us, and everything from locker rooms to the field itself to the amenities for the folks. So we're looking forward to it, and well done to all the folks here in Dodge City to have a venue like this.
And speaking of venues, there was some news that last winter, that next year you're going to go to Emporia on a little more permanent basis, at least a 3-year contract.
Yeah, so we'll be there for the next 3 years for the 26, 27, and 28 game, and that's a little different from what the Kansas Shrine Bowl has traditionally been, where it's never, in fact, been in the same place for multiple years, let alone 3 straight years. So certainly a change. A lot of things went into that decision. It wasn't an easy decision. There's a lot of things that went into it. Again, logistically, there's a lot of pieces that make it difficult for some, cities to host the Shrine Bowl when it amounts to the amount of beds and the dining halls and everything that it requires for our campers, and then just the calendars, honestly, for the student athletes, those have shrunk a lot. Whether it be the Acacia calendar extending a little bit deeper, and the collegiate calendar for these student athletes, that's they pretty much want them on their campus as soon as they've walked across the stage and received their diploma. And so finding dates that mutually work, for host cities and for us, and the different things, and so. It's something different that we're gonna go that route and see. There's pros and cons to everything, but we're certainly excited to go back to Emporia. We had a great game there just last year. The campus is beautiful for our facility, or for our camp needs. The facilities there, and had a great turnout, and so we're excited to get back there. And beyond that, we'll see what happens. It's not a close the door on anybody else necessarily. It's just go there and see what we can do the next couple of years.
You mentioned the band, the cheer squads that come out, and everything else that goes along with just. We always say it's more than a game, but you had some new things. You talked about there was a carnival you had.
Yeah, so we're always tweaking the different events to figure out how we can involve more maybe the community and things and those kind of things. The parents of the players and all of that, they're naturally bought in. They're going to come and support their kid, whether they're playing in the band or the cheering on the sidelines or playing in the football game. But we brought out a carnival concept this year. Kind of like the old grade school carnivals with the papa shots and throwing the baseballs into the blow up catchers and throwing bean bags and all those fun carnival games. We had a bunch of food vendors out there and just packed the Civic Center and had a great time for about 4 hours. Everybody was having a lot of fun and enjoying themselves, and got a great turnout from the local community here, a lot of young kids. And it's cool because they get to come out and get autographs signed by the football players, and they light up when they get that that big guy. They don't know who he is necessarily, but hey, he looks like a big stud football player, and he autographs the back of their shirt, and to see the smile on the kids' faces. So any chance we can get, to create events that allow us to spread awareness for why the Kansas Shrine Bowl is played, and it's more, like you said, more than a game. Then that's kind of the highlight for a lot of people. That's the grand stage that we get to showcase the philanthropy of Shriners Children's and of what Shriners do. And so being able to involve them in an event like a carnival and have fun and get to learn a little bit about what we do.
Yeah, this is the 52nd Kansas Shrine Bowl, and it is a football game, but talk a little more about what this game really means and what it does for the Shriners.
Yeah, so we had, I think it was 18 or 19 patient ambassadors, young kids, some young adults at this point who are no longer currently patients but have been patients of Shriners Children's, and they come in and get to share their experience with our participants and go through interactive activities with them to just kind of change a perspective, or maybe not change, but give a new perspective on some of those kinds of things, and understand why they're out there in these hot summer week, practicing to play a football game, and why we've asked them to go out and hit the streets in their local communities to raise money. It's for the kids, and that's one of our mottos, for the kids, and that's what it's about. And so that experience, it just kind of brings the full circle experience for these participants, and then by the time they take the field Saturday night, they truly know that this is much more than a game, and they get to meet those kids and learn their journey, and now they can continue to be kind of an ambassador for that as well.
Well, it's amazing. You'll talk to guys who played back in the 70s when this first started, and they still talk about that experience. So. Yeah,
we had a Hall of Fame inductions this year, and a couple of guys from talk about the 70s who talked about their visitation to the hospital, and so it's an impactful moment that we want them to become advocates for the mission as well, in whatever form that might take, whether that be becoming a Shriner, whether that be just donating as an alumni, or whether that just be spreading the word about what Shriners do. And if you have a family in your neighborhood who has a child that maybe has a disability that nobody can maybe figure out, well, refer them to Shriners and let us see if we can help them out. So.
All right, Bryce, thank you so much, and enjoy the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
We'll actually get some football being played. All right, Bryce Kessler, the Executive Director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl. More of the pregame show coming your way from Dodge City right after this.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
1, 2, 3, right. 1, 2, 3, left.
Driving. There's the three. Great match for both ladies. They both deserve a round of applause. No doubt about it. What an effort on both. Wow. This was a lot of fun here.
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions, home to possibility, and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
Tonight's game will be just the second time that the Kansas Shrine Bowl has been hosted by Dodge City. 6 years ago in 2019 was the last time we played in the shadows of Boot Hill, and all the Shrine Bowl has been to 11 different stadiums in 10 different cities across Kansas. Cessna Stadium at Wichita State and Bill Snyder Family Stadium in Manhattan had hosted the game at 9 times apiece. Host cities have included Lawrence, Topeka, Emporia, and Pittsburgh. El Dorado and Hutchinson were added to the mix in recent years, but Stan, Dodge City, they have certainly come out to welcome this game back to their city.
Yeah, a lot of pride in the things that go on around here. A lot of tourists come through here anyway, but to have the Shrine Bowl here, they know it's a great event, and they had so much fun in 2019, and those that enjoy West football love the fact that the West played great that day, 26-7, winning the game.
So here we go we're going to have a prayer. Colors will be introduced. Shriner Charlie Baker will sing a song that fans are encouraged to join in. So let's step aside and listen on tonight's pregame ceremonies. Here's PA announcer John Hansen.
Parents and many hundreds of others who have contributed to their time, efforts, and money toward this great cause. We pray for and ask thy blessing upon the many young people who are occupying beds in our 22 Shrine hospitals, and for those who may soon be entering. We pray for the great work of doctors and nurses, and parents who care for these amazing youngsters. We pray that this game will be free from injuries and that this Kansas Shrine Bowl will be remembered with great pride, pleasure, and satisfaction. And that the real winners of this competition will be those young lives who will benefit from the efforts put forth by everyone here. We ask thy blessing on this event. In thy name we pray. Amen. And now for the singing of God Bless America, please welcome Northwest Kansas Shriner, Charlie Baker.
Please continue to send your attention to this great flag for our great nation. God bless America. God bless this great Shriner organization. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. Yeah! Give a shout out to number 33, Rhett Eyrig, representing Goodland, Kansas. Go get him, Rhett.
Performing tonight's ceremony of allegiance and national anthem, the Kansas Masonic All-State Marching Band.
Provide for the common defense, promote your general welfare, and secure the blessings of God. Yourselves and posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually choose each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
introductions were the 15 game officials who are donating their time and talents to orchestrate the game. They also introduced the 13-member chain gang. Bob Swafford, nicknamed Willie, is the crew captain. A special feature of the Kansas Shrine Bowl is who you're looking at the moment, the 2025 Kansas Masonic All-Star Band. They performed last night during the All-Star Showcase. They performed in this morning's parade and will perform for us again at halftime. They're under the direction of Mr. Jason Richens. And not to be left out, the Kansas Shrine Bowl All-Star Cheer Camp featured 200 cheerleaders representing more than 15 high schools across Kansas, all of whom took part in a 4-day camp. We draw your attention now as the teams take their respective sideline. The West team is regarded as the home team. They'll be closest to us. And the East team will take their place across the field. But now it's time for the coin toss, which has some drama in its own. Referee Keith Kinley will coordinate tonight's coin toss at midfield. And part of the ceremony includes somebody very special. It's the 2025 Kansas Shrine Bowl honorary captain. His name is Owen Mahan. He is 17. He joined the Shriners Children's family at 2 years old when he was critically injured at his home in Lawrence. He sustained burns to 95% of his body and spent months at the Shriners Hospital in Ohio, undergoing dozens of surgeries. This week, Owen captained a group of 19 patient ambassadors who shared their stories and their journeys with over 500 participants in the annual hospital experience. So the officials make their way to the field along with the special ambassador, and then so do the captain. So the East, on the East far sideline, by the way, Stan, if you want to add in, this is always a special moment. And as he's being introduced to the crowd here.
Just amazing what these Shriners hospitals can do for these kids, and to see the success they have later in life. And here we get another opportunity. It's just part of the Shrine Bowl week that the players get an opportunity. What's interesting about this coin toss, a little different than others, is the East team's coach, Garrett Michael, said, we're going to vote on captains. And everybody gets 2 votes, so every player voted twice. They looked at the voting and said, 33 different players got at least 1 vote. So he is going to try to do something that I don't know if the officials are going to allow him to do. He's going to try to bring the whole team out and say everybody's going to get close to the official coin toss. Only one's going to go the last few steps. We'll see if the officials allow that, but that is what Garrett Michael wanted to do to reward, and the West team is responding like, we're walking out there too, arm in arm. We've never seen this before.
The 4 players that are ahead of that, West captains Josh Burdick, he's from Cheney, Endale's Cooper Marks, Heston's Carter Gonzalez, Dawson Rod of Andover Central. But for that East team, they decided that being the visiting team usually gets the call. That number 74 is Caden Estrada. He's from Washburn Rural, and he was voted the most inspirational player, and he will call it when they get it in the air. The thing that's really at stake here, other than getting the ball first, is whether you take the wind or not. That's of concern here.
Well, now let's talk about football, okay? Because the wind is as big a factor at any game I've seen in all the Shrine Bowls. 52nd Shrine Bowl, and this is the most windy situation we have seen. It is blowing reportedly up to 40 miles an hour. If you step outside the stadium where there's a lot of flags, it's scary hearing the flags blow in the wind. Right now, we've seen punts go 10 yards in warm-ups. We've seen punts go 60 yards the other direction. The strategy with the wind is going to be a giant factor, and as you're watching it on your TV screen, the wind is blowing from right to left, south to north.
All right, so this is a north-south field, and there's the coin toss up in the air.
That's Josh Burdick from Cheney High School, who will start at quarterback for the West.
So as Stan alluded to, it's a north-south field. The wind coming from the south, gusting to about 40 miles per hour. And game time temperature at the moment is 92 degrees, feels like 97. In fact, the wind blowing so much we can't hear the referee, but you got it. So the East won the top.
I think what just happened is that the East deferred and say, we'll make our choice in the second half. And the West got to make the choice. And what do you normally say? We'll receive. You know what I think they just said? We're going to kick with the wind.
Kick off with the wind.
That's how important the wind is. We are seeing, I believe, the West Head coach Dominic Dingle from Wichita Heights says, we want the win in the first quarter. Let's get this game going.
All right, so we talk about football. The West Squad is very centered around key student athletes who come from within a 30-mile radius of Wichita. There's head coach Dominic Dingle. Dingle is from Wichita Heights, now in his 7th season as the head coach. 19th season overall. He's an Appalachian State grad, earned his advanced degree at Pitt State. He was a West team assistant last year, also has 4 sons.
One of them, DJ, played 2 years ago in the Shrine Bowl, so he knows all about it, in addition to being an assistant coach last year. But at App State, he won national championships in 2005 and 2006 as a player.
And he didn't even mention that. Also, among his sons, you mentioned one that played, he's got 2 of them, Dante and Donovan, who are 16-year-old twins who will serve as team managers. That's for the West Side. Meanwhile, the East head coach is Garrett Michaels. He spent 15 seasons as a head coach, but 28 years with Sabetha. He directed the Blue Jays to the 2017 and 18 state titles this past season, pushed the program's win total under his direction to 104th victory. He's been named the KCA and KFBCA All Classes Coach of the Year. His dad, Tom, was the head coach of the East team back in 1985. So son Garrett, 40 years later, earns his head coaching spot as the head coach of the East squad. So a lot of history at hand already that we've talked about.
Yeah, and this is very important that Garrett Michael, his head coaching at Sabetha is going to end. He has a son who's in college, and he wants to experience it as a father-son relationship and be able to go to all of his games. So he is going to be an assistant coach at Sabetha. A 10-year assistant is going to be the head coach. This is his last game coaching in his career as a head coach, and he is so excited to go in his father's footsteps. And when he was here last year, he saw what this game was about, and he is calling this one of the greatest experiences of his life. This week has been perfect, and he cannot believe he's finishing off his career as the head coach in the Shrine Bowl of the East squad.
So Jackson Rumford about to kick off for the West team. He's out of Scott City, back for the East squad. Taryn Jackson and the West team again, after East deferred the coin toss, elected to kick off. This is going to be a return from the 5-yard line. It's high school football rules. So he slipped and he falls, and the ball will be at the 5-yard line. And that was Jaden Lang, who really handled a line drive and puts the East in a pretty tough situation. They're going to start from their own 5-yard line.
He made a great catch. That was a knuckleball coming down the field. He made a great catch and then just slipped. So not only is the East squad looking in the face of the wind that is dramatic, they're starting at the 6-yard line.
So there you see the East team in their whites trimmed in red. They're the visiting team. The West team in their green trimmed in white. The head coach we've already talked about. The quarterback is Braven Powell Brown, 6'4", 200-pounder out of Gardner Edgerton, and he stands on the team's goal line with a single back behind him, and that's where the East will go to work on the very first play of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, and we are underway. This battle left side and the West was right there. Might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage, but the handoff was handled by Jaden Lang, and he was stopped immediately.
Well, the defensive coordinator in this game for the West, who gets off to a good start on the first play, is head coach Dominic Dingle. A lot of times we find the head coach coaching offense, but tonight Dingle's going to be the defensive coordinator.
So the ball is at the 5-yard line. The drive starting at the 6, bring up 2nd down and 11 as Braven Powell looks to his receiver on the right side, gives a little head fake. He's going to go back and pass it. Short pass is incomplete. It's going to be a tough day to throw the ball, especially against the wind. The pass was intended for Taryn Jackson and didn't get even close to him as the pass is incomplete.
Well, Mark, you mentioned how hard it is going to be to throw against the wind, and that is a true statement. But you know it's even harder to throw sideways in the wind.
Boy, is it
when you're
ever.
trying to throw the ball from the middle of the field to the outside like that, it creates a curveball and almost no chance to control the ball.
Well, here's the first 3rd down situation. 3rd down and long for the East squad. They're at their own 5-yard line. They'd love to move the chains to give at least some room there. And the handoff gets back to the line of scrimmage. Tackle is made by the West squad's Dalton Myers. He's a 6'2", 190-pounder out of Hayes who will play at Fort Hays State next year. He makes a nice little tackle, and it's going to be 4th down and 11, and the punt situation is going to come. Now, here's a situation for East. Their punter is actually the quarterback.
So they look like they're in an offensive formation right now to see what the West is going to do. But it's probably a punt formation with a quick little snap.
And look at the returners just creeping up to the 30-yard line. So the West squad, Powell does the best he can. Look at that thing. It's going to go up and toward the goal line.
It's a negative punt.
It's going to be a negative punt. And it's going to stop
It's a touchdown.
For a touchdown. The West is going to score on a punt that went backwards into the end zone, and that is not something you will ever see. But the West comes up with it and a touchdown.
A negative 4-yard punt with a 0-yard return. They may say it's negative 5, but I think it's negative 4 officially, with a return of 0 for a touchdown. And now, how brilliant does it look that head coach Dominic Dingle said, I don't want the football, I want the wind. And it gives his football team a touchdown as that ball went straight up and then backwards.
Well, we weren't kidding. We talked about in pregame. We were watching both punters from the East and West. Now, should Powell have picked that up? Can you return your own punt?
Well, if you pick it up, you have to get a first down. So wherever you got tackled, the West would take over. It was just a bad situation from start to finish, and the West gets a touchdown and a chance for a PAT to get a 7-0 lead without having run an offensive play.
Extra point coming. This is Eli Jones out of Norton, and it's up, and it's through the uprights. And it's 7-0. West takes the lead here. 10:30 to go here in the first quarter. So that was an interesting drive from the East squad. We told you the wind would be tough. And when you punt and the punt goes backwards, and then you have a choice to make when it lands in your own end zone, that is a difficult choice to make. But it's 7-0. West squad takes the lead. And they haven't even touched the football yet. So their first possession is coming up.
And they still have the wind at their back. I mean, there's a lot of first quarter still to play. And they had a chance to kick it downfield again. Thinking about going for fourth down, in many situations, have become acceptable in football. Even in the NFL, we've seen 4th and 1 at their own 34-yard line, and they run the football. So going for fourth down is open anywhere and everywhere. But I've never thought about the possibilities of what we might see today. After that punt, why wouldn't the East just say, no matter where we are, if it's 4th and 5 and we're at the 20-yard line against this wind, we may just need to go for fourth down and don't even try to punt that football.
Boy, you got to make that choice. Jackson Rumford actually, with the wind at his back, I was surprised that ball didn't go into the end zone. So great field position for his squad, but not so good for the East. This time kicked back in the end zone, and the East will at least have a little bit of room as they'll put it out in good position. The East team rosters have changed considerably in the last few months with some injuries forcing some 11th hour changes, but a very Eastern flavor. Includes a Kansas City area base with a mix of smaller classification players who will need to step up in big roles, especially down 7-0 here. All-stars from the Eastern Kansas League and the Sunflower League are prominent, but there are a trio of players who come from Topeka Seaman on the roster. But the quarterback, Braven Powell Brown, if I didn't mention it, back-to-back Class 6A state champs and 3 consecutive state title game appearances. He is a talented quarterback as he hands off to his running back and gets maybe about a half yard out of it, but at least he's got a positive play.
He is a very good player, is Braven Powell Brown. He was a 6A Offensive Player of the Year. He's going to go to Hutchinson Community College, but right now the West is on fire, playing great defense, and we must give credit to Brody Weir, who jumped on that football for the West. We didn't mention that he jumped on the football from Wellington High School, and he got the touchdown for the West on that negative yardage punt.
Second down, we'll call it 9 as the East trying to get something positive going, and here's the rollout. Trying to find a receiver's got one, incomplete. There were 2 defenders there, including West defensive back Jace Adler. He's out of Andover Central. And all Adler did as a 4A player for Andover Central, he was the defensive player in the year. He's also a top 11 choice. He was a first-team defensive back wide receiver and also a returner. So no surprise that he was in on the pass break up there.
Jace Adler's a big-time player. He is getting ready to start playing football here very, very soon for the K-State Wildcats.
3rd down and 9. For the East squad is the quarterback. Powell looks to the sideline for a play, has a single back, 2 receivers to the near side. And back to pass he goes, under pressure, trying to look for receivers, got one, pass is incomplete. It was just off the fingertips of Max Armstrong out of Olathe South. Almost had that. That would have been a big pickup, but now a 4th down play is coming.
Max Armstrong, normally a running back, snuck down the middle of the field, and it's just amazing that Braven Powell Brown could get the football there. There was The West defenders were all over the place, but still there was a chance that could be completed. Did not get pulled in, and here you got one of those decisions. 4th and 9. Do you punt it?
This more of a knuckleball, and actually a pretty good punt. Actually went off the backside of a back. There's a scramble for the football.
It hit an East player, so it's down right there.
So it's down right there. Okay.
But great field position for the West at the 43-yard line. You get a 22-yard net punt.
We're going to take a break here. 7-0. West has jumped out in front of the East. The West will have the football when we come back to Dodge City.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions. Home to possibility and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
We're proud to be presenting partner of the 52nd Kansas Shrine Bowl. Thank you for building passion in community and youth athletes. Learn more at mammothbuilt.com. Valley Print Logistics is the official printing provider of the Kansas Shrine Bowl. Learn more about the many services they provide at valleypl.com. Well, a couple of plays happened during the commercial break while we were away, which brings up a 3rd down and 1 for the West squad. They're already at the East 36-yard line. A couple of plays included a passing play, believe it or not, with the wind at their back. Nice catch downfield. I believe Carlin Ransom from Wichita East was in on the catch. So the West team goes to work. I mentioned all the players are within a 30-mile radius of Wichita. Representatives of the Greater Wichita Athletic League, Ark Valley Chisholm Trail League dominate that starting lineup. Several were part of state championship winning teams during their high school careers. In fact, 4A champion Andover Central has 3 of its team members included on the roster, and all 3 are starters as we go to 3rd and 1 for the West team at the 36-yard line. And plenty of time left in this first quarter for the West to take advantage of the wind at its back to try to get themselves in scoring position. 3rd and short here. Handoffs on the ground. Fumble, East scrambling for it. Looked like the West jumped on it early, but the East thinks they've got it. Officials will come in to settle it through.
But it did not fall forward for a 1st down, so it ends up being a no gain. It's going to be 4th down, as the West is very fortunate that the snap going back to Josh Burdick, while he was catching it and trying to hand it off, it just dropped to the ground. Very fortunate the West got it, but the East got a chance now. Defense could step up maybe and make a 4th down stop.
West makes a shuffle, brings in among them Eli Jones, who just kicked the extra point. He was the 2A Offensive Player of the Year finalist. 82 tackles, 3 interceptions, 36 for 42 on points after. So offensive, defensive, special teams specialist. And it's a 4th down play here, it looks like. And it's on the ground again. East has a real opportunity, scramble for it, and the East just got a break here. Ball's going to be at midfield. Jones was going to punt that football away, and the snap was mishandled, put on the turf, and the East comes up with a play here.
Eli Jones from Norton High gets into the ball game and sees a grounder come his way on the snap. He jumps on the football, and the East catch a giant break. 2 misplays by the West when they had a 3rd and 1, ends up turning the football over, and the East with breathing room out at the 47-yard line.
If you just joined us, East gave up a punt for a touchdown that never got out of the end zone. That's why they're down 7-0, and they went 3 and out. They've just caught a break here. And then a change at quarterback, in fact. The pass play, it's complete. It was Aaron Tunstall. And the quarterback at the moment for the East squad is Max Huston. Huston, 6'1", 185 out of Seaman. He passed for 2,500 yards, 30 touchdowns, and his completion rate was 65%. Those who have watched him play say he's a pretty good runner too, but throwing for 2,500 yards means he can fling it around. That's a positive play of a couple yards for the East squad.
And he'll be heading to Coffeyville Junior College next year.
Huston going to get to his back. Back was Aaron Tunstall. He's out of Coffeyville, Kinley. All SEK offensive MVP, all state running back. And if it sounds like sometimes we're repeating ourselves, every single player is at least at minimum all league. And probably 95% of these players are all state in their respective classifications. There is a lot of talent on the field. That's why they can put it together in about 6 days.
Against this win, they got 2 downs to get this first down. They do not need to punt.
Third down and 6.
And they got the West to come into the neutral zone. In high school rules, if the defense gets into the neutral zone, it's a penalty. It's over. You don't have to have the offense move and react. You don't have to touch anybody. If you get into the neutral zone, get over the tip of the football, you get 5 free yards. Good use of the snap count by Max Huston.
Boy, you hear that wind blowing in Keith Kinley's mic there. But while we got it, the umpiring crew for the first half includes Dwight Wilkes, Carmen Kinley, Eric Dysinger, Casey Mine, Kevin Lamb, Brady Trimble, and there'll be 7 more officials in the second half. Coordinator officials is Tyler Butch. Tyler Butch, by the way, 3rd down and 1 now. Ball is at the West 43-yard line.
And like I said, they got 2 downs to get this yard.
Tunstall behind him. Player in motion is Taryn Jackson. Jackson moves to the right to the left side and sets up the block. It's going to be a first down and then some. 35 down to the 33-yard line. A nice run made by Aaron Tunstall, who scored 7 touchdowns in a single playoff game, and he picks up the first down of the ball game for the East squad.
Well, the quarterback and running back are going to be playing together in college, and you see how quick and smart he is getting upfield. Aaron Tunstall gets 10 yards on that 3rd and 1. Good blocking by the left side of the line. We've got Caden Estrada over there blocking, but a big-time first down. First of the game for the East squad.
East squad's Topeka Seaman quarterback's got it going. Gets a first down. 33-yard line of scrimmage, first down and 10 for the East squad. Is again a quick snap and almost drew another flag. As coming into press, Preston Hagel and Dalton Myers were on the move toward the quarterback.
Looks like there was a blitz by the linebackers, and there was actually an audible.
Back to pass, trying to get out of trouble, and he's going to be sacked. Brought down by Preston Hagel of Goddard. You saw him moving. He hit the brakes pretty quick and went back. And then after the ball was snapped, the Ark Valley Chisholm Trail League Division II Defensive Player of the Year made the sack.
Well, he came on the blitz and slipped through and made the tackle. Now, this is his last football game. But look how well he ripped the quarterback down to the ground, because next year he's going to go to Pratt and he's going to wrestle. So you saw him. When he gets his hands on you, you are going down. Good defensive call by the head coach, Dominic Dingle, to get that sack for 11 yards.
So 2nd down and about 20 now. This is a whole different situation for the East squad. Is still working against the wind. They got 4 minutes and 36 seconds of this quarter to do that. But on the rollout, looking across the field, nice throw toward the sideline, incomplete. Well defended was the receiver, who was Taryn Jackson downfield. Didn't fool anybody on the play.
You got to throw the ball safely there, and that's what Max Huston did. Good coverage. The West has had good coverage on defense, and sometimes when you have the wind at your back like they're feeling, you get a little overconfident. You scoot closer and closer and go, oh, that quarterback can't throw it over my head. But you got to remember, these aren't normal high school quarterbacks. These are all-stars, and you've got to play it straight, and they have done that. Look at the West defense right now. 3 yards off the ball. No one's near the ball.
3rd down, 21. Handoff is given to the East squad's Jaden Lang. Lang gets to the line of scrimmage and a little bit more to bring up a 4th down. That's an interesting defensive stance off the ball like that.
Yeah, they're trying to really make it hard for the offensive lineman to pick out who is going to be rushing, where are they going to rush from, what are their angles. That is unique. How often do you see something like that? Rarely in football. Way off the line, but they are on their toes. And here's one of those situations. It is 4th and so long that you might consider punting. But are you scared that the ball might only go 10 yards anyway? Why not let your quarterback throw?
He's got 4th down and 18, trying to get to the stake, which is set at about the 24-yard line. And Max Huston back to throw. He's got a little bit more time this time. He can run. He does run, but he is corralled. He picks up a couple of yards, but Brody Weir, who's made his presence felt for the West defense, makes the stop after a 2-yard gain. And the East team will turn it over on downs after a promising start from nearly midfield. They got a 1st down out of it, but the West will take the ball right back.
Well, it's not a bad strategy. And the West pass rush, knowing that's 4th and long, is going to do a good job. And right now, what the East coaching staff is doing is looking down at that scoreboard and saying, run, clock, run. We need to get to the 2nd quarter and get our wind behind us. With 3:38 left, they cannot wait to have this thing turn around.
Josh Burdick, this time he's got 5 receivers, no back behind him. Catches a receiver with the catch. Weston Rock from Abilene, 6 foot, 175-pounder. And also the school's valedictorian just made the catch.
Smart group of football players. Not surprising when you get to this level. These guys not only represent themselves with athleticism, it's amazing talking to the coaches and looking at their all-star squads and going, I can't believe how quickly they've picked up the offense. We just mentioned a second ago the East was audibleizing in an all-star game when you only had a week of practice.
It's unbelievable.
How can you do that? And then they're sending in the signals on the East to the offense without huddling ever, and everybody on the team knows every signal. They don't signal it to the quarterback, and then he tells everyone. Everyone looks over and knows what the signals are.
Burdick, Landon Arp is to his left. Back to pass. Burdick looking, has plenty of time, still more time. Scrambles to the far side of the field, looking downfield, and he's going to let the football go incomplete. Sells it safe. Our quarterback, Josh Burdick for the West team out of Cheney. He was a 3A Offensive Player of the Year, and he's a first-team All-State pick on everybody's list. And this past season, he threw for 1,943 yards with 23 touchdowns at a 66% completion rate.
Well, the key thing that he did that I thought was amazing is in his senior season, he threw only 3 interceptions. So there is an example where he said, I'm going to throw the ball away, do not put it into danger. He did that all season long, helping Cheney 2 seasons ago to win a state championship. And when they won that game over Andale in the regular season to end the winning streak, that was incredible.
Burdick back to pass. Nice block up front. Still looking for receivers. Got one. Pass incomplete. Through the hands. It looked like Nash Ray from Haven. Let me get the number correct. That ball was there. Just could not corral it. But nice job of Burdick to keep the play alive. And then the pass is incomplete. Interesting thing about Nash Ray, if he had made that catch, he was a game week replacement. And what he's famous for, not football, baseball. He had 155 hits during his 4-year career, and that is the best that Kansas has ever had. And if you do the math, you play 26 games maximum regular season. So you do the math of 155 hits in 4 seasons of high school baseball. Pretty unbelievable. But
he's going to go to Hutchinson to play baseball to further his career. And that one went right through his hands. If it would have been bouncing toward him, he would have never missed it. He's a shortstop.
He is. 4th down, left-handed hitter, by the way. 4th down and 5. And the West called timeout. It's their first timeout. And we'll take a break here. 7-0 is their score. West leads the East on a punt that landed in the end zone. We'll come back with a 4th down play right after this.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Possibility. At Shriners Children's, we deliver healing to kids with critical burn injuries, like game-changing advances in regenerative medicine and creating the highest standard of care. We never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs, proving time and again what's possible by empowering the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
Western Associates is the official apparel provider of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, a trusted partner for high-impact branding solutions. Visit westernassociates.com. The Lewis Automotive Group is proud to support the Kansas Shrine Bowl and local organizations. Shop one of their 10 Kansas locations online, buylewis.com. 4th down and 5 for the West squad, and they've elected to punt with the wind at their back, and that is a beautiful punt toward the end zone. It'll bounce into the end zone. That was nicely done by punter Jackson Rumford.
Yeah, the easiest 53-yard punt in history of football.
It was
just
gorgeous.
Just get that thing up in the air. He was hoping it would drop and stop, but there's no way with the wind. Even though he dropped it inside the 5, it blew into the end zone. So right now the East is saying we've got to use 2 minutes and 32 seconds of the clock. That is the whole goal. Down by only 1 touchdown. Even if we have to punt, let's make sure we flip it over, and we're punting from right to left with the wind and start the second quarter that way. So very important for the East to not have to punt into the wind. If I'm the West coach, I'm considering using timeouts if you can stop him here in the first couple of plays.
It's like Max Huston's going to get another opportunity. He played for East assistant Jason Swafford and did a nice job of picking up a first down. There's a little trick play. Taryn Jackson had it for a moment, gets away from the defender. The 20 gets forward to the 21, 22-yard line. And maybe that's what you got to do, throw in a couple of trick plays just to get a little something going. And the Bishop Miege product did exactly that.
Trying to get something going is offensive coordinator Josh Korkenmeyer. He's the head coach at Blue Valley West, and that defensive play by number 4, Ace Monahan, stopped that big play. It was set up really well on the left side. It could have been a 20-yard gain or more, but Ace Monahan got in there and held it down to make it only a 3-yard run. 2nd
down and 7. Huston keeps it, and he's going to get dropped by, among those, Ace Monahan from Council Grove, 6 foot, 210-pound linebacker headed to Baker, who led Kansas in sacks. The whole state at his classification had 9.5 of them, and picks up one there.
Yeah, he read the quarterback, did not allow him to lose outside leverage, and guess what the West did immediately?
Call timeout.
Timeout.
All right, so minute 46. The drive started with 2:32 to go. And so we ate up at least 40 seconds for the East squad, but the West playing the win. Dominic Dingle gathers his troops, and the East team does the same.
Yeah, they get around their head coach I was speaking about from Blue Valley West, Josh Korkenmeyer. Now, Josh Korkenmeyer has an interesting situation. He's the head coach at Blue Valley West, which is really close to the eastern Kansas state line near the Missouri line. So he's over there in that part of the state. And he has a young man that was his quarterback last year who's going to end up going to KU, whose last name is Nagy. His dad is Matt Nagy, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, was the head coach for the Chicago Bears. So if you go to a Blue Valley West game on a Friday night, you are going to see Matt Nagy there. But you know who else comes to the games? Andy Reid, Steve Spagnuolo, Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, my.
So they have to have the security and ways of handling the stars coming in. And what he said is, I've been allowed to just focus on football, and they have not been a problem at all. He gets to do what he wants to, but here's a hard call.
Yeah, Braven Powell, third down. He's getting stopped and brought down. What a hard hit there. And he brought down to the turf by a defender that was just right there on the play making the stop, and that never got going. A 1-yard pickup, and another timeout is called.
Yeah, they didn't need to call this timeout to force a punt against the wind, but it's okay to use that. And right now the East has got a choice. If you punt the football, what do you expect? A 20-yard punt? Maybe 25. So do you roll the dice and say we're going to go for 4th and 10? But they did not achieve their goal, which I thought was to run enough time, get a first down so that they could punt with the wind. Everything worked the West way, and now they need to play the rest of this quarter out strong, because when you look at the score being 7-0, it's almost like tennis. When the server's serving, they're supposed to win the game. When you're receiving in tennis, you want to get a win. You want to find a way to what's called break the serve, because the server should win. Well, right now the team with the wind should outscore you. So right now the West isn't really ahead 7-0. In your mind, you're probably tied 7-7. So let's score some more points here before the first quarter ends.
This is the 52nd Kansas Shrine Bowl. The event has not only served as a showcase for the Sunflower State's best recently graduated high school football talent, but it has annually served as a fundraiser of the Shriners Hospitals for Children for a half a century plus. The West has won 31 of the previous 51 All-Star games. There have been 2 ties. All told, that means the West leads the series 31-18-2. Dodge City is considered West territory. That makes the East squad the visiting team tonight. So 4th down and 11, and we still got 1:35 to go in the first quarter.
They look like they're going to go in punt formation, but remember the quarterback is also the punter.
And there's nobody back for the West squad. They're just going to let this roll, and it's going to, like a rugby kick, it's going to go to the 44-yard line. The West is going to be in great shape because they're going to take it 1st down and 10 and again be in East territory.
So the East squad punted 3 times in the first quarter. One of them was for -5 and ended up being a touchdown recovery by the West Brody Weir. The other one was a 23-yard punt, and that is a 24-yard punt. So West did a nice job of taking the wind in the first quarter, forcing the East to have to punt that many times. They've had all the advantages in the world. That's what the East squad's saying right now. Garrett Michael, the head coach, is saying, guys, we're fine. We're only down by 7, and we are just 1:28 from getting the ball with the wind.
So Burdick still the quarterback. His back behind him is Lucas Meyer out of Wichita Heights. Lucas Meyer, who's at the tailback at the moment, kind of an interesting story. His season was halted by injury, and we really haven't seen the best of him. The run right there gets forward for about 3 yards, so a nice pickup by Lucas Meyer, who actually played for the head coach, Dominic Dingle.
Yeah, from Wichita Heights.
So 2nd down and 7. Here's the West squad going to work. They realize that the time is on their side. They got no timeouts remaining, so now they're quickly to line of scrimmage. 4 receivers, the back right off the left shoulder of Burdick as he's back to pass. Looking downfield, he's got a little bit of time, looking for a receiver. Pass is caught at the 21-yard line. The pass reception made by Carlin Ransom out of Wichita East. First team all-region, all-city, all-state pick. He headed to Hutch JUCO, and he makes a nice pickup.
Those passes have been very good by Josh Burdick. He's completed a couple of short passes, and then he threw a perfect pass on 3rd down earlier. Dealing with the wind is also a big issue when you're throwing with the wind. You've got to adjust how you throw. It's not normal at all. And he stuck the ball in the receiver's hands both times he's throwing the ball downfield.
Well, nice protection up front to allow him the time, Burdick, to get the pass off. He does so. It'll bring up 1st down and 10. And the West squad is at the edge of the red zone at the 22-yard line. This is on the turf again. And a tackle is made. East squad's Caleb Dewey out of Gardner Edgerton made the play defensively, and that's the 2nd or 3rd time that Burdick has put it on the turf.
Now, probably the biggest issue right now for the West is trouble connecting on those snaps. Now, you're near the snapper and you're the center. You're throwing the ball between your legs into that wind.
4 receiver look. Burdick back to pass. He's going to look for a receiver toward the end zone. Pass is going to be too long, and it's going to be incomplete. Well defended by the East defense.
There's an example of the wind, right? He threw the ball, thought he had a receiver flying downfield to drop it in, and then the wind just shot the ball 5 yards further. Completely out of control from the quarterback's perspective.
So third down, we'll call it, looks a little bit more than 15 yards. That's what the official scoreboard says. But the West is throwing in a lot of players. You got 44 on a side here, Stan. And I know both coaches want everybody to play. So there's a lot of movement. And on a hot night, why not get as many players as you can in and out of the lineup. Third down here, we'll call it 16 ball. The rest of the 27. Got to get down to the 12-yard line at least for a first down. Burdick rolling toward us is going to keep it. 25-yard line, makes a nice move. Down to the 21. It'll be short of the first down. Stop was made by Caleb Dewey of Gardner Edgerton, who made 115 tackles during his senior year. 5 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles. His big memory beat Derby in the snow. We're far from the snow here today.
But the issue is, by not getting out of bounds, not throwing the ball incomplete, Josh Burdick allowed the clock to run, and the clock ran out. First quarter's over, so they cannot try a field goal. They could have tried a 40-yard field goal with the wind. There's no chance they're going to try a field goal into the wind. So big break for the East as the clock runs out.
So the second quarter we go, 7-0. West leads the East here in Dodge City. We're back with the second quarter in a moment.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
1, 2, 3, right. 1, 2, 3, left.
Driving. There's the 3. Great match for both ladies. They both deserve a round of applause. No doubt about it. What an effort on both. Wow. This is a lot of fun here.
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions. Home to possibility and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
The Kansas Drive to Zero Coalition reminds all fans to do your part. Buckle up, phone down, slow down, drive sober. Thank you for being positive role models for all Kansas. In Kansas, local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else. 4th down and 10. Burdick on the rollout, looking toward the end zone. Has time, has a receiver at the 5, and it's caught. 5-yard line, skips to the 7. And the West team is going to be in business with a first down and goal inside the 7-yard line. And great blocking up front by that offensive line, which includes Bartolome, Rod, Hoover, Herman, and Redenbaugh. What a nice job.
It's a penalty flag on the play. Burdick did a good job of rolling out and looking back and throwing the ball over the middle. It's okay to throw the ball over the middle late, which quarterbacks are normally taught not to when it's 4th down. And he completed the ball. But it looks like there's a penalty. Was there a hold as he tried to get to his rollout position? Did the offensive line hold on that edge?
Holding. Offense number 60. 10-yard penalty.
Well, that erases a nice play that would have put the West in scoring position inside the 10. Instead of that play, 10 yards will be marched off. And that 4th down and 10 becomes a 4th down and 20 from the 30-yard line.
And a good chance that allowing the clock to run out at the end of the first quarter cost the West a real chance for 3 points. If they could have kicked a field goal with that wind, it would have been easy to get the ball up to the goalpost. It's just a matter of would it have been straight enough. Now they're looking at 4th and 20.
Carter Aslan is in the ball game. He's out of Manhattan High School. He's now the quarterback for the West squad who come in a tough play, 4th down and 20. He's got a running back to his right side, and he can run the ball. He scrambles away from trouble. He's going to keep it. Turns inside, 30-yard line. To get to the line of scrimmage in a couple of yards, but that's about it. Nothing downfield. Nice coverage defensively from that East secondary who bottled it up. And the West will turn the ball over on downs, and the East will have a 1st down and 10.
What an amazing rush by the linebacker, Howie Rizak, who came in and flushed the quarterback from the pocket, forcing him to run to his left and almost caught him and ran him into other defenders. Howie Rizak, number 30, going to Hutchinson Community College next year, was a player that made a big play, and his father played in the Shrine Bowl in 2000. Dustin played in the Shrine Bowl, so you know he's proud and was able to tell his son a lot of stories about what he's going to experience. And the East experiences a chance to snap the football on offense with the wind.
We'll see how they do. 1st down and 10 with the win at their back. Going to give to the running backs. He can get to the line of scrimmage, maybe a couple of yards. In on the defensive play was Dalton Myers from Hayes. We mentioned his name a couple of times from the linebacker position. So the first play from scrimmage, at least for quarterback Braven Powell Brown, ends up being a running play. 2nd down and 9. East certainly has some capable receivers. A couple of them lying to the near side, and now in pistol with the back right behind him. There's a pass completion toward the 1st down marker. Got it, and his helmet came off. What a catch made. Looked like Jackson Toops. He's out of Wamego, 5'10", 175 pounds, soaking wet. He makes a play, loses his helmet, and gets a 1st down for the East squad.
Well, he does a nice job of catching the football, getting upfield. He's actually going to go to Indiana Wesleyan, and it's great to see Braven Powell Brown, the quarterback, throw. You know, he won out of the flex bone and a lot of running for Gardner Edgerton, a power football team that stuck with the running game and had a lot of diversity in the running game. He made some passing plays, but a lot of coaches in college didn't realize how well he can pass.
Again, the running back, it's going to be another big pickup. It's going to be a 1st down, short yardage play. And the carry is out to the 47-yard line. The chains will move.
Aaron Tunstall showing a little speed and getting over to the right side, and you're seeing a little pep in the step of the E squad now with a 1st down and going with the wind.
Powell with the snap, looks for a running back, now finds a receiver, far sideline, spinning move made, almost gets to midfield. Nice little 5-yard pickup, and that again, the Jackson Toops. Toops is a football, basketball, track, all-league performer. He's just a multiple standout, and in the good citizen department, he is a 4.0 GPA. 2nd down here and 6 for the East squad. Braven Powell Brown. A little crossover handoff. He's going to keep it. He's got midfield. He's got room. 40-yard line. 35 looking for a block. He's got one. And he's going to sail to the end zone. And the East squad has scored on a run of unofficially 54 yards from the quarterback, Braven Powell Brown. And he got down the field in a hurry.
Well, everybody who's watched Gardner Edgerton football the last 3 seasons have seen Braven Powell Brown's ability to run. We said he's going to be a passing quarterback as well, a dual threat. But when he was given a chance, he exploded on this run. Perfect angle to cut through 4 different players, 2 at one time, 2 at another, and amazing speed. We talked about the West ought to consider themselves just in the lead 7-0, and only looking at the East to come right back, and it didn't take them long as they set up to go for 2.
We suspected the East would not kick extra points. They're not going to do that. They're going for 2, and it's made. The catch is made by Elsie Slaughter. He's a tight end. He's out of St. Thomas Aquinas and put the 2 points on the board. But more importantly for the East squad, the East is up 8-7 on the first drive with the win at their back.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions. Home to possibility and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
Mammoth's team of sports specialists are proud to support the Kansas Shrine Bowl. Architecture, engineering, construction, and consulting. Let's build something together. Visit mammothbuilt.com. 8-7 is our score. The East has taken the lead on the West. A 2-point conversion was very effectively handled by the East squad to take the lead.
Yes, what's interesting about that is we saw Braven Powell Brown run for a touchdown at 51 yards. Then he turns around and throws a pass to go up 8-7, but he threw it to Elsie Slaughter, as you mentioned, on his way to play football at Army. He was a quarterback at St. Thomas Aquinas. So that's his first catch in high school.
How about that? Well, they got a lot of players playing different positions, and you know what? None of them complain about it. They know why they're here. They're glad to be amongst their teammates, defensive backs playing receivers, vice versa. A lot of players in this game, because they're the best player on their team, they play a lot of quarterbacks. Typically for both teams, they have to play in different positions. So first down and 10 for the West squad. They trail by a score of 8-7. We'll see how the West squad operates against the wind here. What do you think, Stan?
Well, now you're going to see, can you establish the run? They threw the ball a lot when they had the wind, but it might have been a wind strategy. Right now, as I look early in the second quarter, I would say the wind is undefeated. If you just joined us, it's blowing 40 miles an hour from right to left on your screen from the south. This is the first time the West is going to be going against the wind backed up. They're going to have to get the running game going.
So the West goes to work by its quarterback from Manhattan High School. He's a member of the tribe, is Carter Aslan.
Right tackle moved a little early. That'll be a 5-yard penalty against the West. Does not happen too much. That's Cooper Coster from Conway Springs.
Hey, let me mention here, Stan, did you know that Carter Aslan's dad, Lucas, he's an assistant on the Manhattan High team. He, at one point in his career, he was the coach at nearby Garden City Community College. So coming from the book of obscure facts to know about both teams as we do our research, that was interesting to find out.
There's a big rivalry between Dodge City Community College, where we are tonight, and Garden City Community College.
The Hatchet game in high school, Aslan keeps it, gets up to the line of scrimmage. He's brought down hard by East squad's Aiden Dreiling. That touchdown has led to some momentum on defense. Boy, after the East squad punted that ball and a 0 punt return for a touchdown, you felt the life kind of land out, but the 54-yard run, by the way, that was a 71-yard drive from the East squad. Very impressive. And that has put the momentum on their defense as well. Second down, 15 is what we're looking at the moment. Aslan looks at his wrist, looks over to the sideline. Got it back to his left shoulder, 3 receivers. And on the rollout, he's got a net block on the edge if he wants it. He's got it. Aslan, 25. He's got to get to the 30. Looked like he slowed down, took a hard hit out of bounds, but Jan, the flag is going to fly. So Aslan was going to hit the brakes. He was handled out of bounds. That's the word I'm looking for, handled.
Well, he looked like Patrick Mahomes on this play. He goes, I'm just going to slow down, step out, and hope you push me at the wrong time and act like I got killed. And sure enough, there's a 15-yard penalty, as he did bounce off another East player, but a very smart play. You know, the West was hurt by penalties. That 10-yard holding took away that 4th down conversion down to the 5-yard line. That 5-yard penalty early in this possession made you think against the wind they might be in trouble. But great speed by Carter Aslan, the Manhattan High quarterback, and then he picks up an extra 15 yards.
Boy, got such a nice block on the edge from his tight end on that side. It's first down and 10 for the West squad. They had the ball at the 44-yard line. Again, 8-7 is our score. East leading the West, and this is the West's first possession following the 71-yard scoring drive by the East squad.
Carter Aslan's a good quarterback to have in right now because he's especially a good runner.
And there's a pitch on the end around. Going to get maybe back to the line of scrimmage as the West unfolds a play from their playbook. Looked like it was handed to the Hutchinson product.
Their playbook is being set by Daniel Myers. He is the head coach at Mulvane, and he's the offensive coordinator for tonight's game.
Caleb Dewey.
So 2nd down and 9 for the West squad. Ball at the 45-yard line. Again, shuffling in offensive players. And one thing we haven't seen so far, except for that one offsides call, we haven't seen any illegal motion on part of the offense, which is really certainly a sign of their good preparation. Give to the running back. Running back finds midfield. 45, 40-yard line. And this is the handoff was given to Landon Harp. Harp's out of Andale. He's played a lot of winning football. In fact, he's an all-Metro running back. Kansas State High School Activity Association all-class first team. And he's got 24 rushing touchdowns, and he was about a block away from scoring there.
One of the great high school programs over the last 5 years. And Landon Harp is playing in his last football game. It's always enjoyable to see and talk to the young men who are saying this is it. This is their last time to play football. It's really a valuable experience. You play against the best players in the state of Kansas, and before you retire and put your helmet away.
Landon Harp right to the left shoulder of Aslan, and Aslan's going to keep it on the options. Gets up to the 39-yard line. Now that's a play that would probably take more than just 6 days of practice. That timing,
yeah, that was
to keep it to give. Yeah,
they were reading. You could tell that they didn't know if Landon Harp was going to get the ball. Harp was saying, I'm going to put my hands over the ball and wait and see what the quarterback does. And Carter Aslan pulled it out at the last second, reading a defensive end to decide if he's going to give the ball or not. He tripped up a little bit, only gained 1 yard, but fortunate not to drop the football. Like you said, it's hard to get that mesh and make it work.
Boy, thanks to the penalty, West is in pretty good shape here at the East 40-yard line.
And most importantly, they are just burning clock.
Threatened blitz from the near side. We'll see if that Aslan finds a receiver, catch is made. Makes a nice little move, gets to the 35-yard line. That time, a little receiver screen. And the catch was made by like Carlin Ransom for Wichita East. We've mentioned his name a couple of times. In fact, the local fans probably remember him because he caught the game winner against Dodge City High School in a first-round playoff game. It was a Hail Mary, and Carlin Ransom did it right here on this field. So he's got outstanding memories and probably came to this game with a boost of confidence based on that one play.
Well, he's been a favorite receiver of Josh Burdick, who started the game from Cheating High School at quarterback, and now Carter Aslan goes right back to him as well.
3rd down, 6. The back remains Landon Harp. Harp's on the left shoulder. And in motion, that's Weston Rock from Abilene. Aslan's going to keep it. Finds some blocking. Nice move, 30-yard line. It looks like it's going to be a first down for the West squad as Aslan just takes a tiny space and makes the most of it. He's 6 foot, 170 pounds. He's going to play baseball at Cloud County next year, and Aslan just got a first down for the West squad.
Center fielder out there also playing his last football game, and he just has that knack to run the football. Not scared to run the football right up the middle. Critical run on 3rd down, navigating his way through, knowing where the first down marker is. When you're running and you're the quarterback, you pick out a mark and say, hey, that stripe at the 30-yard line, if I'm going to get tackled, I'll make sure I'm going to fall forward and make it at least that far. And sure enough, he picks up a 3rd down conversion.
3rd down look here, 3 receivers, got a tight end right behind in blocking formation. And this time, nice play made by the East squad coming in on a charge.
Howie Rezac, is he doing it again?
Yeah,
remember,
Howie
he was the guy who blew up a play earlier on a blitz with a red towel on the back, number 30.
Yeah,
St. Mary's, a 2A school. He is playing with the big boys.
95 tackles on the season for Rezac, 15 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 7 pass breakups. Rezac had a tremendous senior season for St. Mary's. In fact, with his older brother, won the Class 1A state not that long ago. So the Rezac name in St. Mary's is synonymous with good football, championship football. 2nd down and 9 for the West squad. Aslan back to pass. He's going to keep it. moves forward, hits the brakes, gets to the 25-yard line. So he made a little something out of nothing. Stop is made. Again, it's Landon Meyer on the stop for the East squad.
With this win, he really didn't drop back to pass. He dropped back to pass to make the line think. Get in your rush lanes, get upfield, and hopefully he could pick a spot to get out there and run, get a little bit of yardage, but the East scrambled, made a good tackle, forcing a 3rd and 5.
Aiden Dreiling comes in, led Kansas with 12 sacks. He's an all-stater. He was a substitute for the East squad on the front line now. 4 minutes, 10 seconds ago before halftime. Aslan under trouble, throws it just out of the reach of Landon Harp. The East brought the pressure among those. They're Dreiling, he just checked into the ball game. He's going to play at Washburn University next year, and he was right in Aslan's face.
Well, sometimes if you throw a screen, which they were setting up on the right side against a blitz, it can work for a touchdown. But the quarterback has got to have enough time to throw an accurate pass, and this time threw the ball slightly over the head of his receiver. So we got 4th down and 5, and a new quarterback coming in for 4th down, so they probably have some special 4th down plays. This is what you can do in an all-star game. Here comes Josh Burdick back into the game.
So Burdick's back in. Got 2 receivers both directions. Obviously not a field goal attempt against this win. 4th and 5. Burdick looking, still looking. Now scrambling. He's going to get in trouble, and he's going to be bought down the 41-yard line. He almost escaped the sack attempt from Howie Rizak, but not the second. But so all of a sudden, the East squad has made the play, and the West squad turns it over on downs.
A 16-yard sack. He rolled to the left, and there were no receivers over there. When he turned back, he needed to get rid of the football, did not, and the East stops the West on 4th down for the 3rd time this game.
East takes it 1st down and 10. 3:52 to go before halftime. In an 8-7 lead. We're going to take a break right here. It's 8-7 is our score. East leads West. We're back in a moment.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Possibility. At Shriners Children's, we deliver healing to kids with critical burn injuries, like game-changing advances in regenerative medicine and creating the highest standard of care. We never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs, proving time and again what's possible by empowering the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
Fully Promoted is your local resource for all things swag. The proud provider of Kansas Shrine Bowl uniforms. Visit fullypromoted.com. At Giant Communications, connection is more than technology, it's trust. Built on connections, powered by community. Visit giantcom.net. 1st down and 10 for the East squad, their own 40-yard line. So what the East can do with the wind at their back. 3 minutes and 52 seconds to go before halftime. Powell back to look at his receivers. Still looking, he's got protection, and he can run with it he wants. Finds a receiver, short pass is made to the 50-yard line, out to the 46. He kept the play alive, and the catch was made by Benjamin Matthews, the 6'2", 200-pounder out of Caney Valley.
They tried to slip a running back deep down the middle of the field. A really smart play call, but it was covered well by the West. super composure by Braven Powell Brown. When he had his receivers looking to the right, he said, okay, I'm going to just roll to the left. No one was over there, and he found his tight end, Benjamin Matthews.
2 tight end look now for the East squad. As Powell gives it to his running back. And no yards on the play. In fact, a yard loss. In on the stop was Ace Monahan from Council Grove, among others. And then coming in from his cornerback spot, Quavon Harris.
Good defense by the West. They've been good against the run, except for that one plus 50-yard touchdown by the quarterback.
2nd down 11. Love the strategy so far by both coaches, understanding the wind and the clock. They have been there and done that before. It's not their first rodeo, no doubt. 2nd down 11. Back to pass. Going to find a short man, the receiver, and the catch is made by Max Armstrong. Armstrong forward and almost to the first down marker. In fact, they may move the chains. No, pretty close. Pretty close.
Good physical run, and that's what Max Armstrong gives you out of Olathe at the South, going to Butler County Community College. And good accurate passing on the short passes. Powell Brown has done that throughout his whole high school career. He doesn't look down deep. If he sees something that he can get a completion right away, he does the ball, dumping it off to his running back.
Probably 2 plays to make the first down if they don't get it. 3rd down and 3, ball at the 38-yard line. Back to pass. Going to keep it. It's got under pressure. Looking for a receiver downfield's got one, incomplete. Boy, downfield, Todd Brown had just got a step on the 3 defenders who were downfield. That pass just sailed long, and it'll bring up a 4th down play.
Okay, Mark, great debate. Which player was he throwing to? One was crossing from left to right, and one was crossing from right to left. They're only about 3 yards away from each other, and the ball sailed down the middle. Now, we don't really know because when the wind's behind your back, the ball's probably just going to shoot downfield, but there are 2 guys there. I would expect them to run the ball on this 4th down.
4th down and 3, run the ball because the clock's at 2:37. The East has 3 timeouts remaining if they want them. They haven't used any of them. The West has used all 3. Ball on the ground, a fumble, and the West has it. The handoff was never made, and the West is in great shape. They're going to take over at their 41-yard line on the first turnover of this football game.
Ace Monahan gets the football, but again, we see a mistake. We saw the West do this earlier, not able to get the snap and turn and get a good handoff. This time, the East made the mistake, unforced error from their side, and the West takes over at the 42-yard line as Ace Monahan gets in there. The young man from Council Grove recovers the fumble.
1st down and 10, ball at the 42-yard line. West quickly breaks a huddle. They've got 2 minutes and 32 seconds, but they must operate against the wind. Aslan stays in at quarterback for the West squad.
You want to make the East think you're in a hurry, but you just want to run out the clock. That's the most important thing.
Aslan looking downfield is going to keep it. Up to the 45-yard line, makes a nice little move, but he's going to stop by the 2nd defender. And remember, the West squad doesn't have any timeouts, so they cannot stop the clock.
You just want to be careful and not turn it over. You do not want to get yourself where you get stopped and the East gets another chance to have the football. You'd love to score. You're down 8-7, but I'm telling you, the wind is a giant factor in the game.
So Burdick comes in for Aslan, as does teammate Weston Rock out of Abilene. They're in the offensive set right now in that huddle. 2nd down and 7. Inside, 2 minutes to go before halftime for the West squad as Burdick takes over. The running back at the moment for the West squad is Landon Harp. And a blitz coming. And they're going to get to the quarterback 41-yard line. Now, does the East want to call timeout? They're going to.
Yep,
East is going to call timeout because they got 3rd down coming up.
Just great coverage downfield. The pass rushing's been very, very good from both teams. And we've seen some sacks really be taken. How about that 4th down, 16-yard loss on the previous possession by the West? This time, not a lot of yardage loss, but you've got 3rd and 10 and 2 timeouts left for the East to try to use this win one more time before we get to the half.
Finn Cusick on the play out of Bishop Miege. He was the 4A Defensive Player of the Year finalist, also Bobby Bell Award finalist. And he's already played in an All-Star game this summer. He played for Kansas in the Kansas versus Missouri All-Star game.
And he's one of a number of players, about 11 different players were named National Football Foundation Scholar Athletes. The Bill Snyder Kansas chapter, lucky enough to be on the board. David Lawrence from KU as well is on the board. And just a great opportunity to reward kids around the state who do a great job in academics, playing on the field, and also work in the community. And it was great to see. You were there that night as we had a big celebration at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. We were there in the building, and one of the things that was great is the Shrine Bowl inductees to the Hall of Fame were there and celebrated. So we got the Shrine Bowl and the National Football Foundation, Bill Snyder, Kansas chapter working well together.
3rd down 11. Burdick back, sends his back to the right side in a 5-receiver situation. Pass is short. It's going to be incomplete. That was a pass thrown, and Burdick immediately threw his hands down like he didn't want to deliver that. That also stops the clock, minute 38 seconds.
Harper Engel rushing from his left end position from Shawnee Mission Northwest on his way to Central Missouri. Number 99 got his hand on the ball, knocked it down. So now the West, they have a chance to decide, are they actually going to go out and punt the football? They punted the ball once with the wind, and remember, it went 50-plus yards easily. Now, how well will they execute against the wind with 4th and 11?
Well, one of the best punters in high school football in Kansas is Jackson Rumford. He's standing back at his 30-yard line. And now back to punt is Eli Jones. They switched positions there. Jones, and then a snap and a flag. It's going to be offsides. It could be offsides on the East team.
I don't know if the West would consider going for 4th and 7 rather than 4th and 12, or they leave the punt team out and become happy that they get 5 extra yards. But again, if you line up in a neutral zone, play's over, and the official called it immediately.
Now with minute 38 to go, I got the feeling, Stan, that when the East made substitutions, the way they were lining up, they were going for a block. And that cost, that's probably why they got offsides. They're just a little bit in a hurry. So 4th down play, Eli Jones back to punt.
They don't have anybody back there.
Nobody back. And so snap is long at the 20-yard line. The 15, he's going to have to fall on it, trying to get it off, just punt it. In the air, the wind is going to take it. It's going to take an East bounce down to the 20, and they better jump on it, and they will, down to the 20-yard line. And the East is going to start this possession inside the red zone.
It's about a 25-yard negative punt. As the snap went flying with the wind over the head of the punter who scrambled back, Eli Jones. He did a good job of punting the football, trying to make something happen. But again, into this wind, what is going to happen? He should have probably just thrown it for an incomplete pass, but instead they lose 25 yards. And what did I say just a couple minutes ago? What was the number one goal for the West squad? Run the clock out. Yeah. Nothing good was likely to happen going into the wind other than making the East think you wanted to score, but actually run the clock out. Now with a minute 18 left.
Oh my goodness. So they're going to call a roughing the punt, and the West is going to keep the football. After all that, East thought they had the ball at the 21. They're going to call roughing the kicker. What an interesting call on the field.
The reason why it is a penalty is the snap went straight behind the center, right? He didn't try to run the football. Just because he wasn't 15 yards behind his center, he ended up 25 or 30 yards behind his center. It's treated by the officials as if he was trying to snap the ball 25 yards back.
Oh.
So he went straight back. Think if he were standing back there and caught it, you would have said, oh, they roughed the punter.
And if the East team would have blocked it, almost blocked it, if they had blocked it, there would be no flag.
Right. But now the penalty goes from the point where they snapped the football, and the West says, what do you mean run out the clock? We got the ball at the 38-yard line going in.
Oh, my gosh. Well, there you go. So a punt into the wind that lands in the end zone results in the West's first touchdown. And the West just got a huge break on a miscue on a punt.
That was a negative 25-yard punt, but they ran into the punter. So if you would just visualize a punter standing 30 yards behind the center, you would know it was legal. You can't run into it. But they were thinking, oh, he's a running back. He's a punter out of the pocket.
Well, these are
great
all
discipline by the officials.
Oh, my God.
Great discipline by the officials.
Yeah, these are all-star officials. That would have never come up on my radar. I guarantee you that. So 1st down and 10. The ball's at the 39-yard line. And Eli Jones is now the quarterback, number 2 for the West squad. He's out of Norton. Looking for a receiver. Pass is going to be incomplete. And then a flag is going to be thrown. So I think the East is going to get called for pass interference on a pass. It was intended for Jace Adler, and it was way over his head.
So was there a contact penalty? Shouldn't be pass interference. It's uncatchable.
All right, so
holding. Okay, they're saying holding before the ball was thrown.
Okay.
But another big penalty. How about the West driving the football with 25 yards of penalty on 2 straight plays, minus the other 25 yards that aren't counted? They've actually moved the ball 50 yards forward on East penalties.
All right, so now 1st down and 10 via the penalty at the 29-yard line. And the West squad, which was about to give the ball back to the East squad with an opportunity for the East squad to score, finds themselves with an opportunity to score. And Eli Jones at the controls. Jones with the running back to his right. Back to pass. He's going to get hit and brought down hard. He's lucky to hold on to it because from the left side, Cusick came in, makes a huge sack. And Eli Jones never saw him coming.
Eli Jones did a good job of holding on to the football, because with not seeing him come, that could have easily been knocked away and been a sack fumble.
All right, so he's called timeout.
Wow, that is confidence right there.
That is.
Garrett Michael, who is ahead by 1, is saying the West has 2nd down in his territory, and he doesn't want the clock to run out. He believes in the wind so much. Like the wind is the 15th and 16th and 17th defender, I guess. Like, you're not scoring against us. We want the ball again. The wind leads this game.
And
I've never talked about the wind so much in a game, and I've lived in Kansas my whole life.
And do note that the East squad still has a timeout left. So theoretically, they could get the ball, use the timeout if they need it. And they have 63 seconds on the scoreboard to get something done. So interesting events here happening at the All-Star game. Stan, I'm glad with your vast background that you're alongside me to explain what's going on. They actually reset the clock to a minute 6. By the way, Memorial Stadium, Dodge City, wonderful place, really impressive. Located squarely in the center of Dodge City on North 2nd Avenue. Memorial Stadium also serves as a home field for Dodge City Community College, the Conquistadors football and soccer teams. It's the primary home for Dodge City High School sports. Up to 5,000 spectators can sit comfortably. It's a great attendance today. Turf is synthetic, 8-lane track. Press box renovated 2023. And we're up here. You can't see us. I'll wave at you, but we're back beyond up here on the top level, just watching a tremendously entertaining football game.
They do such a great job. They must replace the flags every day. The way these things are getting beat up in this wind.
I was looking at the band flags. I was hoping
they could barely hold on to the flags when they're out there.
I'm glad they
could barely hold on to them in the pregame festivities.
2nd down 17, trying to set up a screenplay, going to do it. Passes caught, 35-yard line, down to the 31-yard line. So a nice little pickup of 8 yards, and the clock is moving.
Now, what's the West mentality right here? The East calls timeout and says, we think you're going to throw an incompletion on the next pass, and therefore we're going to get a chance, even if you go to 4th down, to get the football. This is an amazing, aggressive play from the East squad.
All right, balls
with the lead, I would think they would say, hey, West, if you want to run out the clock, we're good with that. Please don't score. Don't get close enough to try a field goal or maybe drop a pass into the end zone. I mean, you could still throw the ball up for grabs and end up with a catch because you got good quarterbacks throwing the football, all-star receivers going up as well.
8-7 is our score, by the way. East leading the West. West jumped out to a 7-0 lead when a punt went for negative yardage, and Brody Weir out of Wellington jumped on it in the end zone. That happened with 10:40 to go in the first quarter, and then the East took a while, but the East, with the wind at their back, put together a 71-yard drive, and the quarterback, Braven Powell Brown, scored on a 54-yard run, and then a 2-point conversion made it 8-7. So I want to tell you that this last 50 seconds will be entertaining, but stay with us because the halftime show, we will stay right here because we want you to hear from the All-Star Band. The Kansas Masonic All-State Marching Band will be performing at halftime. There you see a view. That's the sun side. The press box side, as the sun sets in the west, is the shaded side as Eli Jones steps out with instructions following the timeout. So neither team has a timeout left. Both teams have used all 3 of their timeouts to take advantage of the wind. And here's Eli Jones. Jones with a quick snap and then a flag. And that's going to be
getting into the neutral zone by the East. But before that happened, the West moved. They saw the blitz coming off the edge. There was a slot blitz set up, getting ready to come on the blitz And it looks like the green jerseyed West squad moved early, cost them 5 yards.
Carlin Ransom, certainly somebody to watch out for the West squad. He's
man, it's aggressive defense by the East right now. Jared Swafford from Seaman High School is the defensive coordinator for the East. Garrett Michael, the head coach of Sabetha, said as this game unfolded, I'm going to have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. I'm going to be the head coach, like a college coach. He's not going to have time spending with one side of the football. But right now, he has been calling timeout and letting Jared Swafford get after it.
Among the receivers, Brant Stupka out of Andover Central. He's closest to us on the near side. Going to give, the quarterback's going to keep it. Aslan's got some room, 30-yard line. He has the edge, 25-yard line, and now he's knocked out of bounds, and a flag is going to fly. The penalty is going to be called on Blake Ellis, who got in a late hit. Aslan again draws the late hit once again, and the West is going to come out in great shape out of all this.
Well, he does it again. He stops along the sideline, but I thought he was hit while he was in the field, not out of bounds. He was baiting the call. Maybe they're saying it's a blow to the head. Too much physicality in that instance by Blake Ellis, who getting his football hits in. He's going to play baseball at Allen County next year. But, wow, this will be the third big penalty on this position. This is now 40 yards of penalty plus 25 of field position, 65 yards worth of yardage on the West because of East penalties. And now with 41.9 seconds left, the West says, thank you for calling those timeouts. We now have a real chance to score.
Line of scrimmage is going to be the 16-yard line. Do note that for the West squad, Jakes Adler at Andover Central is not a receiver. He's been a defensive back and a receiver, and he's also been in on special teams. He wears number 12 for the West squad, as they're going to have discussions. So the officials are setting it up. We've had a long 2.5-minute ending to this second quarter. A lot of penalties, a lot of discussion amongst the fans. And then we're going to have some more discussion here. What exactly is the line of scrimmage? Now they've moved it up 5 yards. So now it's a little bit easier. It's the 12 instead of the 17.
And you almost are knocking on the door of having a field goal opportunity if you don't feel comfortable. If time gets low and you end up not wanting to go for fourth down, you might be able to kick the ball into this wind.
Here's Carter Aslan. He's the quarterback. Back to pass. Has time. Going to try to run for it. He's going to get wrapped up, brought down at the 12-yard line, and he is a guy that can run. In fact,
no timeouts though.
Nope, we got to get it back to the line of scrimmage, and the East team is taking their time getting off Aslan. As the West sideline, those assistant coaches telling him to go. 22 seconds. They want another opportunity here. Second down and 10, 12-yard line. Aslan looking for room. Looking for a receiver. He's going to lob it toward the end zone. Pass is going to be incomplete. It lands in the Red Demons end zone, or the East squad, but there's 8.6 seconds remaining, and Aslan had a lot of composure that time to look toward the end zone to find an open receiver.
He did a good job of getting it up into the air and giving his receiver a chance. We said throw up a jump ball, and trying to catch that ball is Carlin Ransom, who's done an outstanding job as a receiver today. And the West squad could send a field goal kicker out and say, let's try it into the wind, but with 8.6 seconds left, they think the best opportunity is to still leave the offense out.
Aslan sends us back to the right. Now it's empty house backfield as they set themselves up. Weston Rock points to his running back. Back to pass, looking toward the end zone. He's got a receiver open, touchdown, and incomplete. Had it for a moment, and then the ball was knocked away by Wyatt Flood of the East squad. West absolutely had it. In fact, the West receiver, who is Weston Rock, thinks he held on to it long enough to be a touchdown. Let's see the replay.
Yeah, Rock said, I had the ball long enough, and it's in the end zone, so who cares if the ball gets knocked away after a bit. I did not go to the ground, but they are saying that is an incomplete pass, that he did go to the ground. There is no instant replay in high school football. There is 1.6 seconds left. That's important. The clock did not run out. Officials said he did not keep the football long enough. There has been so much craziness going on in the last 10 minutes. It's unbelievable.
This could be a half-hour post-game show just on the first half if you want, Stan. This has been interesting.
We've seen things that we don't normally see.
1.6 seconds to go. Aslan's going to have an opportunity. This is the last play. Aslan, maybe he'll do the same thing he tried previous. This time he's going to be brought down. The sack will end the half, and it is over.
Well, they said he was down. He might not have been down, and there could have been a possibility of a touchdown return. I think it's halftime. I think it's going to be officially halftime. With all the craziness, it stays 8-7.
Well, there's your halftime score, 8-7. Take a look at the replay. Take us through this, Stan. Aslan was looking downfield. Interesting, he rolled to his left instead of his right like the previous play.
And then as he's getting thrown down, they said his forward progress was down, so that's a good call by the official.
That was Aiden
Great
Ellington, by the way.
tackle by Aiden Ellington. He has made himself a factor in the first half. What a crazy first half we have. The score's only 8-7, but it seems like it's 41-40 with the action.
Yeah, we've had several possessions. Wind has been a factor. Crowd has been great. Crowd's chimed in, and do note that this stadium that you're looking at has, when it was initially put in, Stan, had the largest video board in high school football in the state of Kansas. And they have been able to watch, the fans have been able to watch what we've watched on some of the replays, and have provided their own input on what is going to happen. So the first Shrine Bowl participants to arrive during this big week, they are the band members. You saw them before the game with the national anthem. Well, the Kansas Masonic All-State Marching Band consists of young men and women from high schools across Kansas who have donated their time and talents for 4 days in camp preparing for today's parade. They're under the direction of Mr. Jason Richens. Kansas' best high school musicians are showcased in this event that is capped by the pregame and halftime performance in the Kansas East-West All-Star Shrine Bowl football game. Tonight, they're going to present for us a medley of songs which feature the NFL on Fox theme, and that should sound familiar. So once they get set up and the fans here are warmly greeting, in fact, many of the fans, the band members' parents have come to provide their support. But they've done a tremendous job. They've sounded great. They've been in the band. They're really disciplined. They've done great. And so what we're going to do is...
And to watch the flag bearers try to hold on to their flags is well worth it as well. Because right now they're all holding their flags down. They're not flying yet.
No,
but when the music starts, they're going to let their right hand off and start holding on to it. You can see it's like an umbrella right now with all the flag holders. They're treating it like an umbrella, but in a little bit they're going to let it loose. And I'm telling you, it is hard to hold on to.
Let's listen in and enjoy the sound of the 42nd Kansas Masonic All-State High School Marching Band.
All-Star, the 2025 Kansas Cheerleaders Shrine.
And a fantastic job by the Kansas Masonic All-State Marching Band. And a warm reception for the fans on hand here. They know these kids came out in these hot temperatures and the wind, and they've been a continuous and very beneficial element of the Kansas Shrine Bowl since 1984. The band also performed last night's Shrine Bowl banquet. And the parade this morning, they leave the field the moment. Student camp fees are sponsored by the Masonic and Shrine organizations throughout the state. Between the band and the All-Star Cheer Squad, the performers on the field number 360 members. It's also a tip of the cap to the cheerleaders, the Kansas Shrine Bowl All-Star Cheer Camp that you saw, the 4-day event, which started in Great Bend at Barton County Community College. We're going to take a break here. We come back, more of halftime. We're going to have checks coming, the Shrine Bowl Hall of Fame class, and more. Halftime continues. It's 8-7. East leads West at the 52nd Annual Kansas Shrine Bowl in Dodge City.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay then, let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions. Home to possibility and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
Machine Company is a proud supporter of the Kansas Shrine Bowl. Integrity, precision, commitment for 5 decades strong. Learn more at cemachine.com. The Kansas Shrine Bowl, presented by Mammoth, dedicated to building the places where passion and community collide. Visit mammothbuilt.com. So you've heard from the band, you saw the cheerleaders. There's a great look at the fans who are in attendance here in Dodge City at the Memorial Stadium as the sun begins to set in the west on the longest day of the summer, by the way. Summer solstice.
Hard to believe we're past 8:30 and it's light outside still. So can't wait for the second half of the action we saw. But now we get to see an opportunity to benefit the Shriners and see all the money that's been given. It's just incredible. This is such an important part of these guys playing football that people will come spend money to watch, to donate. Congratulations, Shriners.
It's been a great week so far and an interesting first half, to say the least. At the moment on the field, they are introducing what is the Shrine Bowl Hall of Fame class. And I'll mention their names. Kent Sedlachuk, who Hanover High School East
Kent
team.
Solacek. Very tricky name, but I played football with Kent Solacek.
East team 1979, so that kind of dates you right there. Colin Sexton.
Well, he was older than me, by the way.
All right, okay.
Well, when I got to K-State, he was already there.
All right, okay. I've heard about those late 70s. Colin Sexton, Abilene West 2012. Dane Simoneau, Sacred Heart, West Team 2007. C.J. Hamilton, who could not make it, but he's from Silver Lake.
Famous coach.
5-time East coach from 77 to 2004. And the induction means there are currently 36 members of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, so just wait for this. Hall of Fame, including my partner Stan Weber, The list includes both coaches, players, organizers in the history of football in Kansas, including Brooks Barta. By the way, Brooks Barta, our heartfelt condolences to him, who lost his father, Roger Barta, this past week. Roger had led his Smith Center team, was it 8 state championships and some incredible win streak, but also Mark Simino, Dave Mize, who was one of the original organizers, actually brought me into play as a broadcaster, Tom Dinkle, Mike Bell, Barry Sanders, and certainly, Stan, you know what it's like to be a Hall of Famer. So
you just mentioned my name with Barry Sanders. Are you kidding me?
And Mike Bell and Tom Dinkle. So
wow. Mike Bell lives in Wichita.
Yes, he does.
2 doors down from my parents.
Oh, is that right?
So I grew up around the Bell family. He and his brother, and great players all the way through the NFL. And how about Blake Bell, which is not Mike's son, it's Mark's son.
It's his nephew,
who was a belldozer at Oklahoma and then ended up being a Kansas City Chief, winning a Super Bowl at tight end.
All right, so we part of the introductions, the Shrine Bowl Board of Directors are what they're introducing. There's 15-man corporate team, 3 directors from each of the 5 Kansas Shrine temples. But here's the best part of this. It's the Shriners Children's Patient Ambassador. There are a total of 19. If you joined us for the kickoff, then you know the story of our honorable patients, but they have unique stories to tell, each and every one of them. They're from Douglas, Ellis, Mulvane, Palco, Wamego, and more towns in Kansas. There are a couple of out-of-state ambassadors who have been invited, but many tell their stories about how the Kansas Shrine Bowl in this game helps them, and I think as Stan has pointed out time and time again, it really underlines why they're playing. This game is so much more unique in that, at least for this week, you got all staters, you got all leaguers, you got the hometown heroes, and obviously puts them in a place where they could be takers, but this week they are givers, the players, for these kids right here.
One of the most amazing things, because I'm able to meet with each year Shrine Bowl players for a little while, and I remind them, and you can see it in their eyes, they know what I'm talking about, that this is amazing. You're 18 years old, 19 years old, and you wonder, how can you have an effect in the world, on the community? How can you do something to help others? And suddenly they say, all you got to do is play football and respect the game and go out, and you're going to actually make money for these children or grown-ups at times.
That's Colton Metzler right there. We saw his story in our pregame show.
He played football in high school.
And that's
it's amazing. I mean, I had tears rolling down my face just with a smile
He said he had 9 different legs provided by the Kansas as he grew up. And that's one of the better stories. But the photograph here being taken at midfield includes the Imperial Shrine dignitaries. The list includes Derek Hockett, who's from the Grand Lodge of Kansas, Shriners Fraternity, about 500,000 members. This is nationwide. From Wichita, Shriners Children's trustee Ron Capps, along with the International Shrine Treasurer, who is Brad Kane. Those 2 are among the bunch. And they're all volunteers, so they receive no compensation for this, and part of it is fundraising, which is the fun part. The checks are coming on the field.
There's one from the Alumni Associations, which means players that played in the Shrine Bowl in the past. It's great to see that the number is up over 40 players. It started out at 33 players per team, rose a little bit, but now we are able to see over 85 players playing in the Shrine Bowl tonight for the 2nd year in a row.
A silver level sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the public address announcer here so that you can hear the checks, how much they are, where they come from. So let's listen in on the announcements from the press box.
Charity Carnival sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, DeSoto Veterinary Clinic.
A charity carnival sponsor of $2,000, Western State Bank. Major meal sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Walmart, $2,000. Major meal sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Hilmer Cheese, $2,000. Major meal sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Cargill, $2,500. Major meal sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, National Beef, $2,500. Charity Carnival sponsor, $2,500, Idea Tech. Patient Ambassador, major sponsor of $2,500, Pokey Feeders. Our All-Star Player Profile sponsor, Buck Roofing, $3,000. Gold level sponsor, $3,000, Farmers Bank and Trust. Partner sponsorship of $3,000, First Dental. The Kansas Shrine Bowl Parade sponsor, $3,000, Lewis Automotive Group.
What was that for camera 3?
Kansas Shrine Bowl Gold Level sponsor, $3,000, Shields. The official sports media partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl with a contribution of $3,400, Sports in Kansas. Official game day partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl for $3,500, Drive to Zero. The Kansas Shrine Bowl, official wireless partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, $3,500. Next Wireless. Official game day partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, $4,000. Fully promoted. Also official game day partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, $4,100 from Custom Life Company. West, the official host city, Dodge City CVB and Dodge City Sports, $15,500. West Team jersey sponsor, E-Machine Company. the EC, $5,000. Patient Ambassador Major $5,000. Junction City. Official team transportation sponsor $5,000. Kansas Shrine Club. Official patient ambassador hospitality sponsor $5,000 Scott County Shrine Club. That was the official printing partner, now that the mic's back on, Valley Print Logistics for $5,000. And now, the official apparel partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, $5,000, Western Associates. The presenting sponsor of the Kansas Shrine Bowl Fan Fest, $10,000, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas. The presenting partner of the Kansas Shrine Bowl, Mammoth, $12,000. The presenting sponsor of the Masonic All-State Band Camp, $15,000 from the Kansas Masonic Foundation. And representing the 2025 KWC Kansas Shrine Duels are members of the West All-Star with their contribution from the 2025 Shrine Duels of $25,000. And to bring us home, the annual golf tournament in support of the put on by the Midian Touchdowners, $42,653.69. Thank you all and all of our partners and everybody in this stadium tonight who supported and was a part of our cause. Please join me once more and show our appreciation for the many great partners of the Kansas Shrine Bowl.
And the contributions from partnerships not only include cash,
If
but
the
also
leadership of
donations
these
that
great
come
Kansas
in
companies
many
at Shrine
forms,
Bowl has
including
inspired
donated
you to
products
give.
and gifts in kind. Don't forget that you at home tonight can make your own donation toward the Shriners Hospital for Children. Take your iPhone and tilt it toward the Venmo on the left or the website on the right and make your donation. Be a part. We can all make a difference at the Kansas Shrine Bowl. Halftime, 8-7 is our score. East leads West. When we come back, we'll set up the second half. We're getting closer. Back to Dodge City in just a moment.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
1, 2, 3, right. 1, 2, 3, left.
Driving. There's the three. Great match for both ladies. They both deserve a round of applause. No doubt about it. What an effort on both. Wow. This is a lot of fun here.
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions, home to possibility, and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
East and West are back on the field. 8-7 is our score here at halftime. East leads by a single point. West scored a touchdown early on a punt for 0-yard punt return where the wind actually blew the ball back into the end zone. Brody Weir recovered, and then eventually the East countered with a 51-yard run by the quarterback, Braven Powell Brown, and then a 2-point conversion gave an 8-7 advantage. So a long halftime, Stan. Both teams got to reflect on a lot of things that were really interesting and really out of the ordinary, but something out of the ordinary is about to come here, and it involves the coin toss, which we saw an hour and a half ago.
Well, absolutely. In modern football, everyone wants to have the football, valuing the football. Going for fourth down, and the analytics just say anything you can do to try to keep the football is what you're going to focus in on. Well, tonight, the East deferred, and the West said, we want to take the wind. And so they kicked off and had the wind at their back in the first quarter. So now the East comes back in the second half, and like most teams, they say, we want to receive, which means we're going to see a game tonight, which we may not see for the rest of the 2025 season, where a team kicks off twice to start the first half and halftime, and it's all because of the wind. Now, we're getting later in the evening, near 9 o'clock Central Time. The wind, I think, slowed down to maybe 38 miles an hour from 40. Still a giant factor, but how is this going to play out? The East leads by 1. It's been something that the teams are going to focus in on. Guys, I know the wind's a big factor. Let us coach that. Let us talk about it and strategize. But let's get back to playing football. It's a one-point game. Anything can happen. But if you look out here, the West has been unable to score a touchdown on offense yet tonight.
Second half is underway. Jackson Rumford kicking toward the end zone. It's going to be a return. It's coming from Taron Jackson. He's at the 10, 15-yard line. Jets forward to the 21 before he's tripped up. And the East will take it first down and 10 at the 21-yard line. Much better than the opening kickoff where the East had to start from their own 6-yard line. Better field position. You feel like both teams are kind of past the nerves, and now it's time to settle down and play some football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I'm sure that the East, her head coach Garrett Michael, had to say to the offensive line, hey, guys, let's get to work. The best thing you can do when we get the football first is to drive the ball down the field. We have the lead. Show some physical presence here. You'll use the clock, move the ball. Maybe we'll be the first team to score, but driving the ball against the wind is a big factor in this game.
Braven Powell Brown, the Kansas quarterback of the year, top 11 pick, goes to work. Going to try to find a receiver, nearly picked off. right at the line of scrimmage, looked like jumping up to knock the ball down, was Cooper Marks. He's that linebacker out of Andale. Speaking of top 11 picks, he was, as a defender, 26 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries, and he even had a pick 6. Had he picked this one off, it might have gone back for a touchdown.
Yeah, this was a dangerous throw, and there were multiple players who had a chance to make a play on that one, almost picked it. It would have been a touchdown going the other way if he could have pulled the ball in.
And just to remind everyone, the wind is coming from the right side of your screen. That is the south. The north is to the left end. And the handoff up the middle for about 3 yards, gets up to the 25-yard line. So the first third down for the East play comes immediately on their first possession here of the second half. So I'm checking the starters. Looks like the first team, and again, as you told me a long time ago, Stan, there is no such thing as the first and second team. They're all first teamers. But the first unit on the field, the starters are back on for the East team, and it looks like the West.
Look at that defense they're using. 3 yards away from the ball, trying to muddle the area up to say, hey, offensive line, who are you going to block? Where are we going to come from?
So 3rd down and 7. This is part of the unusual part that we've seen in this all-star game. You don't see that very often. He's going to try to run the ball. He's going to get back to the line of scrimmage, get a couple of yards, but he has stuff there. And a 4th down's coming up. That means a punt situation. And so a 3 and out for the East team to start the second half. And in there on the play from Wichita Northwest, recognize the helmet that's Quavon Harris. Headed to Coffeyville, wants to play Division I and probably will someday. And they're going to go the JUCO route first.
Well, it is 4th and 6 against this win. Never write off the fact that they might go for this. It's likely they're going to punt because Braven Powell Brown is the punter.
He punts it toward the sideline.
And here you go. He had a 23-yard punt, a 24-yard punt, and this one is near the area of 19 yards and maybe less, depending on where it crossed the sideline. You just have a vertical plane up there. When that ball would have hit the edge of the sideline, that's where the ball is, and I think they're going to mark it at the 41-yard line. So the West again gets great starting field position. They scored a touchdown when they recovered a punt in the end zone when it went backwards. And otherwise, this is only their 6th possession of the game, Mark. It is the 3rd time they've started, half the time, in East territory.
They'll take over 1st down and 10 at the East 40-yard line. 10:21 to go in this 3rd quarter, and he's going to put it on the ground. Rumford spins forward to the 34-yard line, pick up a nice about 5 yards. And Josh Burdick, who is a baseball star, beat Andale twice. I'm not sure which one of his honors is the best, but the folks in Cheney know that they beat Andale twice, and that's pretty huge on the resume.
Well, if you look at him coming off the sideline, look at the left side of his helmet. That is a GP, okay? That is for Garden Plain. You talk about what all-star games do to people. Garden Plain and Cheney are giant rivals for 50, 60, 70 years, and yet when he goes to the All-Star game, he's willing to put the GP on his Cheney helmet.
2nd down and 4. This is Eli Jones now at quarterback. He's going to get a couple of yards, moves forward, very close to the 1st down marker. Will be about a yard short. Up front for that East defense in the middle there, Aiden Ellington, we've been talking about him a lot, but also Caden Jordan is the nose tackle, and Finn Cusick. That's a pretty tough front line for that defensive front of the East squad. Will bring up a 3rd down and 2.
Well, they've been impressive all week long, and they're going to need to be impressive here because the West isn't going to punt the football. If they don't get it on this play, they're going to turn around and go again. But remember, at this point of the field in the first half, they couldn't get the snap and handoffs done.
Eli Jones is going to follow a blocker, gets the 1st down, and he's still on his feet. 25-yard line, tripped up, brought down to the 23-yard line. 1st down, nice job by Eli Jones to find some open space, switches direction. He's got a 1st down for the West squad.
Both teams have passed the ball a lot tonight, and I really think whichever one can get the running game going will be the team that wins this game. And quarterback run is about the only thing we've seen done successfully. Yes, the East has had a couple of good runs by Aaron Tunstall, but basically it's been the quarterback run game. I think getting him involved. Look, they sub quarterbacks in and out. Josh Burdick's in for Eli Jones, but a good 3rd down conversion for the West.
Burdick, Landon Harp is to his right side. Has some room, has a receiver. Pass is caught down to the 13-yard line. In between 2 East defenders and coming up with a catch. No, 2 hands on it. That was Cooper Williams. And Williams is out of Clearwater, 6'3", 180. And he's one of those players. We had a couple of players that had an ACL injury in his first game back, scored 3 touchdowns. Nice catch reception here.
Yeah, good pass by Burdick. Keeping the ball a little bit lower, not allowing the wind to catch it and throwing it in between 2 defenders. Not easy to do.
West threatening to retake the lead. Burdick keeps the ball in the read. Going to get down to the 10-yard line. Skips over defender. Makes another move. Goes down to the 5. Still on his feet. Nice run by the West quarterback as he puts him at the 5-yard line. A great pickup. Rarely have we had a pickup of 7-8 yards on first down.
No, we've seen Eli Jones convert on 3rd down on a run at quarterback. We've seen Josh Burdick run here successfully. And the best runner so far for the West at quarterback position has been Carter Aslan. So all 3 quarterbacks rotating through for the West squad have done a good job running the football.
Second down, ball marked at the 5-yard line. West trails 8-7 here, but in great position here to retake the lead. Eli Jones comes in at quarterback.
But there's a certain amount of pressure. You got to score when you have the wind at your back.
Jones, 5-yard line, gets down to 2, spins forward. He's knocked down at the 1-yard line. 4-yard pickup, and it's going to be first down and goal for the West squad at the east 1-yard line.
You got to hand it to the center and the offensive line to have different quarterbacks come in, play after play, and be able to take snaps and listen to the snap count is impressive.
Quick snap. Jones in the end zone. No, looks like they're going to call a touchdown. Touchdown for the young man from Norton, 6'2", 210-pounder. Scores the touchdown for the West squad, and the West moves out in front 13-8 on the East squad.
First offensive touchdown of the game for the West. They get the job done. Burdick, Jones running. They quickly got up there, and that's the first time we've seen a snap tonight that wasn't a shotgun. Again, not easy for the center. Trey Hoover does a great job at center. Played at Manhattan High. And with the 2-point conversion made by the East earlier, it forces the West to go for 2 in this situation.
Let's see what they got at quarterback. They got Josh Burdick at quarterback. Have Hatback just beside him. 2 receivers, receiver in motion. He's on the rollout. Going to try to find the end zone. 5-yard line, stopped at the 1-yard line. And the 2-point conversion has been denied. And so it's going to stick at a 5-point lead for the West squad as we take a break. West puts together a 41-yard scoring drive, capped by an Eli Jones touchdown, and it's 13-8. West leads East at the Kansas Shrine Bowl in Dodge City.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions, home to possibility, and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
The Kansas Shrine Bowl would like to thank last night's charity carnival sponsors, Idea Tech, Western State Bank, Emporia Lodge number 12, and DeSoto Veterinary Clinic. These sponsors paid for carnival wristbands for all of this year's participants to enjoy a fun carnival night, and we thank you. 8-7 it was at halftime, and now 13-8. The West leads the East. The West comes out, puts together a 41-yard drive, Stan. Did most of it on the ground, but what was most impressive, Stan, was they rotated quarterback without a hitch.
Yeah, not easy to do for the quarterbacks, but especially for the center. And then all of the offensive linemen have to get used to the different snap count. I know they practiced it, but it's only a week of practice. So very impressive that the West took advantage of what? The wind, and ended up forcing the East to go 3 and out, punted the ball only 13 yards. That means they punted the ball into the wind, 23 yards, 24 yards, and 13 yards here in this game. But there's a little pressure on the West to keep scoring because they don't have the wind in the fourth quarter.
Well, Braven Powell Brown comes out for the East squad, fully aware that of the 21 points that are on the scoreboard between the two teams, all 21 have come with the wind at their back. The controversy, or at least the challenge, will be to try to do something against the wind here. First down and 10, ball at the 20-yard line. Powell back in his quarterback position, has two receivers top portion of screen, and the back at the moment is Max Armstrong, who moves to the right to the left side. He's going to get a handoff. He runs strong up to the 25-yard line, and like you said, Stan, keep it on the ground against the wind, and a 5-yard pickup, at least tonight's been a luxury.
Yes, and right now, running hasn't been easy, but right now this is right on the East shoulders. You've got to run the football. If you can do it successfully, you can run out the clock and get a little momentum. It'll help the passing game if you can get something going with that offensive line pushing forward in the running game.
I noticed quickly the East squad gets right to the line of scrimmage against the wind.
All no huddle, but they can stall the clock out, so they don't have to hurry.
Back to pass. Ball picked off. Christian McDonald picks it off. He's got a lane to the end zone. Touchdown. A pick 6 for the West squad as Mays South Christian McDonald goes up, intercepts the pass, and the first team All-State defensive back has scored for the West team on a pick-off of a pass that was intended for an East receiver.
3 touchdowns for the West, and 2 of them not offensive. 1 special teams and then 1 pick 6. A 28-yard TD interception return. So hard to throw the ball into the wind. Braden Powell Brown tries to stuff the ball in there, and cornerback Christian McDonald jumps in front of it, makes the nice catch, and heads down the left sideline. And the West, knowing they need to score while they have the wind at their back, get the job done. And the East on a slow start here in the third quarter and a big turnover against them.
Let's see what they want to do here. 2-point conversion. It's an 11-point advantage for the West squad. And 2-point conversions coming here. Back to pass, taking a look. Burdick goes toward the end zone. He's got a receiver. The ball tipped, and it's incomplete. Score will hold at 19-8. As for the second consecutive time, the 2-point conversion fails. But Christian McDonald's interception return puts the West squad up by a score of 19-8. So, folks, we're going to welcome you inside the booth here.
Welcome to the booth.
And we're going to welcome in Bryce Kessler. Bryce is the executive director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl. Tremendous job. You know, by the time the third quarter comes in, you're like on easy street now, right?
Yeah.
All the trouble's
over.
Look
at that smile. That's a relaxed smile right there.
I would have a bigger smile if they didn't give me like a stool over here, standing me next to Mark. This isn't fair putting us on camera.
That's all right. We understand. It's Stan has the same problem, but it's okay. Well, congratulations. They always say the first year is the toughest, but the second year, no easier. Is it or is it?
Well, it's not in this case because, you know, every year is a little different. Different players, different families you're working with, different venue in this case, different cities. So it's fun. There's different challenges every year, and ultimately when it all comes down to it, though, you get to raise a lot of money for a great cause, raise a lot of awareness for a great cause, and celebrate on a great Saturday night in June somewhere.
Everyone's so excited about the cause, and then it's all-star football. You kick off the football season. Always look forward to that. But and how much easier is it, or what is it like working with your assistant your wife. Family affair leading the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. She's amazing at everything, including being a coworker. So we're not really coworkers; we're just partners. We're partners in everything we do, and this is no different. So it's a rewarding experience to be able to celebrate the wins of this organization alongside her, and couldn't do it without her. Couldn't do it out with a lot of people. Actually, takes a lot.
I want to congratulate you on last year. The total was 151,000. Second best year in the 52 years of the Kansas Shrine Bowls, or 51 years counting last year. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you to everybody who was a part of that. That takes a lot of people and a lot of communities getting involved, getting behind that, a lot of participants. So we're excited about where the organization is right now, and the excitement that we've been able to build. In the Shriner community, but also in the communities across the state, and the corporate sponsors that have bought in with us and bought into our mission and our cause, and so many people make it a thing, and we're just excited to see what the numbers fall this year. But it's been a great week.
I think it'll be great. Let me just give you a chance to promote one of the events that really came through for you is the KWCA Kansas Shrine Duel Wrestling event. It was held in March, second year in. It sounds like that's going real well at the moment.
Yeah, no doubt. That's been, didn't really know what to expect when we started that event in conjunction with the Kansas Wrestling Coaches Association, and it has been a home run, to say the least. 2 years in now, we couldn't be more pleased with where that thing's headed, and super excited to continue that. And it's a whole new kind of group of athletes. We've got both the female and the male wrestlers in that, and getting to, again, share the philanthropy with a new group, and it's been awesome. It's such a fun event, and can't wait to continue that. It'll be back in Wichita again next March.
Okay, I've been around the Shrine Bowl a long time, and what a great organization to be associated with. Thanks for letting us do it. I look out in the field, and when you look from a football perspective, I've never talked about the win so much. You were just down there at halftime. What was it like? Because we are up here in the booth, all protected, and we're just looking out and seeing. But how much of an effect is it when you're down there on the field?
Oh, gentlemen, it is a big win out there. It's rough. Having played football, not to these guys' caliber, but the win can play a big impact, and we've certainly seen that in this game tonight. Not quite the same downfield array of passing like we saw in last year's game. This one's been have to play different, and it's still been a lot of fun to watch, but it's a challenge out there. That win, we weren't able to hang any signs. Our parking signs are, I think, 2 counties north by this point, and so
when the band members played the national anthem, they had the little music cards, and they were flying off the field.
Yeah, luckily
they had to do it by memory.
Right, I was going to say, luckily those musicians out there are talented enough that they've got it memorized anyway.
Well, Bryce, we thank you for your efforts. And a fumble on the field. Looks like West may have the football, and indeed they do. East had a nice little promising drive.
They were starting to run the football, which they needed to do.
Did they lose the football? Officials are taking a look at it.
Tie goes to the offense.
And it's going to stay with the East squad.
Just because the West raised their arm up does not mean that Bryce is going to allow them to have the football.
All right, bad timing on my part of the fumble. But, Bryce, once again, congratulations on all you've done. We've really enjoyed working with you, and love your sense of humor and love the job that you've done. Thank you very much.
Can't wait to see you guys back in Emporia with us next year, and enjoy the rest of this ball game. We hopefully have an exciting finish up.
Thanks, Bryce. All the best to you, and good luck. Look, like I said, it's all downhill from here. All downhill.
His smile's getting more and more large.
You bet. So third down and 10, ball at the 36 for the East squad. Nearly escaped with looked like a fumble, but pass was incomplete, and this one nearly thrown into the hands of a West defender. So a fourth down coming up, and the East continues to battle against the wind. Ran the ball a couple times effectively.
I thought that was a great strategy. That's what you've got to do. To have success. They ran off a decent part of the clock right there, but as soon as they go back to the passing game, it hits a green jersey right in the hands. Fortunately enough for the East, it's not another turnover, but the East needs to get to the fourth quarter and start their comeback. But right now, here you go, punt formation on a 4th and 10.
The Browns back at his 29-yard line, tries to angle it once again, and this ball is up, and it's going to take a East bounce, thankfully. And it goes to the 42-yard line. We're taking a break here. Your score 19-8. The West has come out with a couple scores here in the third quarter. They lead by 11 here in Dodge City.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Possibility. At Shriners Children's, we deliver healing to kids with critical burn injuries, like game-changing advances in regenerative medicine and creating the highest standard of care. We never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs, proving time and again what's possible by empowering the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
19-8 is the score. West leads East here at the 52nd Kansas Shrine Bowl. The Kansas Shrine Bowl would like to thank this year's major meal sponsors, Cargill, Walmart, National Beef, Hillmar Cheese, and Dillon's. Thank you for helping feed our All-Stars. It's been a heck of a week, and the West has taken advantage of the wind here in the third quarter. Again, all 27 points scored between the two teams have come with the wind at the back of the offensive team. Burdick goes to work here. He's got 5 receivers, goes to his short receiver. That's Weston Rock. Rock at the 50, 45, 40, 35-yard line, down to 34. And that is going to be one of the biggest pickups offensively for the West team as they've got it going at the moment.
Simple pass where he throws the ball directly with the wind, and then good run after the catch by Weston Rock on his way to Tabor. Picks up a nice gain. That's one of the best passing plays we've seen all night long. This is only the second possession of this quarter by the West, but you have to remember they had an interception return for touchdown, so that counts just as good as any offensive series.
The previous possession by the West team was a 41-yard drive. This West is already at the East 35-yard line. Pass is going to be completed to Adler. Adler 30-yard line, has some nice moves and goes down to the 27-yard line, pickup of 7 yards. And that's the future K-State Wildcat. I've got a good feeling about Adler that we're going to hear from him down the line. He's kind of one of those players that just jumps off the radar.
We've seen him play well on defense, now on offense. Part of the state champion Andover Central 4A state champions, Wichita Eagles 4A Defensive Player of the Year. But what I like to talk about is he's the youngest of 5 brothers. But there's one brother that's super special in their family, Luke. Everyone rallies around Luke, a young man with autism. And so Jace Adler got a chance to get to know him, and that's the star of the family.
2nd down and 2. It's going to be a first down. Swings to the outside and then down to the 23-yard line. That's Terrell King. He's out of Hutchinson. He's a Salt Hawk. First team All-Stater. Coach is the assistant on the team, by the way, who would be Mike Vernon. In fact, I haven't mentioned the assistant coaches. Let me do that real quick. Russ Wells, Wichita South. Mike Vernon, who I just mentioned from Hutch. Daniel Myers, Mulvane, Tyson Bowerly's out of Heston, Council Grove's Butch Hayes, and Plainville's Alex McMillian. I'll give that opportunity to the East team when they get the ball back. First down and 10, though. Ball is at the 23-yard line as the West team is on the edge of the red zone once again. Here's the handoff. This is going to be Eli Jones, and Jones to 20 to the 18. All of a sudden, the West team stand is going to work, and they're getting the line of scrimmage really quickly here with time running out in this third quarter with the wind at their back.
Yeah, they're racing the clock as well as the East defense. They have the momentum right now. We saw when we switched from the first quarter to the second quarter how the East immediately felt momentum, and that could happen here in the fourth quarter as well. So you want to get the score up as high as you can, but it's amazing how they're shuffling in quarterbacks, different plays, different quarterbacks, and it's like no big deal to the West.
Josh Burdick rolls to the right. looking toward the end zone, and now switches direction. He jumps up and finds a receiver at the 10, to the 5, to the 3-yard line before he's met by 2 East defenders. And all of a sudden, the West team is going to be first and goal once again.
Good play, jump pass, accurate again. Josh Burdick, a very good passer. Also plays the trombone, very musical. 30 ACT, how about that? 3 defenders on him, no big deal. Jump up, and his receivers have been reliable. And this time, it's back to number 12, Chase Adler.
So Adler makes the catch. First down and goal, ball at the 4-yard line. It's Burdick in the game. The back to his right side, going to keep it, trying to follow a block. Gets to the end zone, and he's going to be at the half-yard line. Line judge steps in, marks at the half-yard line, and Burdick almost scored again.
They're going to hurry up here because they want to try to make sure that they score and can kick off with the win. Great defense.
And this on the handoff, touchdown West.
They give it to him. Official said he broke the plane, and the West does get the touchdown before the third quarter ends with 40.3 seconds left. They extend their lead 25-8 now. Will they go for 2 again? They started going for 2 only because they were behind 8-7 when they scored a second touchdown. And they've gone for 2 since then, but I think now they may go back to saying, let's just kick the football.
25-8 is their score now. As Eli Jones gets in his place kicking position. Eli Johnson, by the way, has been the long snapper for the West squad. He's out of Beloit. Hold kick and is good. Got over. Didn't look perfect from my vantage point, but close enough. So put the extra point on the scoreboard, make it 26-8, and the West, after being down 8-7 at halftime, has come back and exploded with 19 second-half points, and they've done it in 12 minutes.
Well, the East coaching staff has got to say, we've got the wind in the fourth quarter. We can actually come back. But you just wonder if you're a West fan saying, hey, is it something about Dodge City? When we were here the first time ever that the Shrine Bowl was played in Dodge City in 2019, the final score was West 26, East 7. We are 1 point off of that right now as the West leads 26-8.
What I remember about that game was wind was a factor again. I do believe that most of the points came with the wind at their back. And the MVP was Caleb Grill out of Mays. And Caleb had just finished up his basketball career
at Missouri.
And Missouri is
played at Iowa State for a while.
Right.
At Missouri, and he's done great in the NBA pre-camp.
That's what I hear. I hear that
he could bomb one of the best three-point shooters in college basketball last year.
But I think you'd agree with me. When we watched that game in 2019, Caleb Grill was head and shoulders. He was one of those guys that jumped off, kind of like Jay Sadler tonight. One of those guys that kind of jumps off the radar and you say, yep, he's going to play at the big level and do well. So the kick is in the end zone, and the East is going to get the football back. You know, we saw, and I must correct myself in the first half, that run by Braven Powell Brown officially was 51 yards. I'd mentioned it was 54. Nonetheless, he's a game changer. There's your East assistants, by the way. Josh from Blue Valley West, Cleet Frizzell from Chanute, Logan Wyrick out of Humboldt. Mike Berg from Wellsville, I mentioned Logan, Roger Holdhouse from Centralia. Yeah, that's a good group. Jared Swafford out of Seaman. And again, all-star coaches on both sides, a lot of experience. And that's why they can put this together, a game plan. And think about that, offense, defense, special teams.
For them to work together and work with other coaches and take secondary roles and just be a defensive line coach when they're used to being the head coach or play caller. It's a very humble thing to do, but they give a lot of time away from their family. This is the one time a year where they might get a little bit of a break before football season kicks off and all the responsibilities they have with their football teams, and yet they take their time and come work the Shrine Bowl. And what's great at the end of the day is when you see those coaches, they all have a smile on their face and going, this has been a great experience.
Yeah, the final seconds here of the third quarter, East doesn't have reason to snap it, but they're going to go the fourth quarter down by 18. We played 3 at the 52nd annual Kansas Shrine Bowl. Score West 26 to East 8. We're back to Dodge City after this.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
1, 2, 3, right. 1, 2, 3, left.
Driving home. There's the three. Great match for both ladies. They both deserve a round of applause. No doubt about it. What an effort on both. Wow. This is a lot of fun here.
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions, home to possibility, and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
And to the fourth quarter we go, alongside Leon Liebel on the sideline and Stan Weber in the booth. I'm Mark Ewing. It's been our pleasure to bring you the 52nd annual Kansas Shrine Bowl from Dodge City. The West leading by 18 points, trailed at halftime by a score of 8-7, but have rumbled back with 18 consecutive points. But now we turn to the final quarter, and the wind just hasn't changed directions. It's still coming even as the sun sets here.
You just got to think of it like tennis. When they had the wind, they were going to be effective. 2 touchdown drives by the offense and interception return. That's the best of what the West could have done. But now the East says, we've got to score. We are now serving in our tennis example, and it's time for us to dominate this quarterback.
Pika Stevens, Max Huston goes to the quarterback position for the East squad, finds a receiver coming out of the backfield, and a nice pickup of about 5 yards. When you change quarterback, sometimes a little short pass just to get them warmed up. That seems to be the thing to do, and that's exactly what the East did on its first play here of what is the fourth quarter.
The East is not huddling. They do not huddle ever, and they're signaling to everybody. So they should easily be able to pick up the pace, and I think they need to do that with Josh Korkenmeyer, the offensive coordinator, the head coach at Blue Valley West. I think they need to speed up their pace and get a lot more plays run.
Max Armstrong is the running back at the moment for the East squad as they go to work. They've got a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. Back to pass, looking for a receiver. It looked like it's caught. And
nice
it was.
Throw.
Nice catch. Nice throw. That's Taryn Jackson out of Bishop Miege. He had 74 catches in his senior season for 1,337 yards and 13 touchdowns. Makes a big clutch catch for the East squad here.
John Holmes, the head coach at Bishop Miege, very successful in 4A, normally in the state championship, or this year in the state finals, lost to Andover Central. Love to throw the football, and Taryn Jackson's been good at catching it.
First 10, 39-yard line. This passes Jackson again, 45-yard line. He's picked up 5 yards. And Taryn Jackson, who's headed to Butler, who scored 4 touchdowns in the runner-up game, by the way, has been effective for the East squad, pick up of about 6 yards.
Good throw, good rhythm so far by Max Huston, but this is an all-star game, and they're not used to playing fast, but the faster they'll play, the more plays they'll run in this fourth quarter, and they need basically 2 touchdowns and a field goal or 3 touchdowns to win this game.
East needs to get to the 49-yard line, but can open the playbook a little bit. 2nd down and 5, scrambling out of trouble is Huston. Huston's going to keep it. Gets to the 40-yard line, looking for some room, spins forward, but a loss of about 5 yards. And in on the play for the West squad after a long chase down was a number of players, including Ace Monahan from Council Grove, who helped chase down the quarterback.
Yeah, when you roll out to the left and your receivers are on the right side of the field, you're not going to have much chance to throw. And then you just got to bail and say, I'll throw the ball out of bounds and save the 5 yards and stop the clock. That's two valuable things, but it's hard for a quarterback who's had such success in high school football to say, why can't I make a play? Why can't I run? Well, you know what? There are all-star defenders everywhere.
3rd down and 7, quarterback change. Braven Powell Brown back into the game. He's the Gardner Edgerton star. He's going to play for Hutch. By the way, there are 10 future Blue Dragons between the two teams on the field. He's going to throw the pass away, and there was no chance. Big rush up front from the West defense, which includes Brody Weir, Tristan Sproul, Rhett Eyring. They gave Powell Brown no chance.
Yeah, that play did not look well. He started to run up the middle, making you think it's a quarterback run, and then when he saw he couldn't gain any yards, he threw it the last second, threw it in the dirt. So big 4th down here for the East.
Holden Ziegler also in on the play for the West squad. They made it really difficult. This is going to be a clutch play needed here for the East squad. 4th down and 6. Brown with time. Looks for receivers, got one. Pass is going to be incomplete, just out of the reach of the receiver, Taryn Jackson, and the East squad is going to turn it over painfully over on downs. Receiver was open. That pass is just too long.
The second time they've given the ball up on 4th down, and only the 8th possession of the game. But the 4th time the West will take over the ball in the East territory, and now the West has a good situation. And I would be emphasizing running the football, running the clock, running the football, running the clock, as you look at the assistant coaches who've worked so hard, along with head coach Dominic Dingle of Wichita Heights.
Yeah, we mentioned Russ Wells and Mike Vernon, Daniel Myers, Tyson Bowerly, Butch Hayes, Alex McMillian. Those coaches have really worked together and put a great game plan together. And the one thing they expressed, at least to me during the week, was the confidence they had from the players that they had, despite a couple of changes at the last minute. End play quarterback, this is Carter Aslan.
Have I talked about quarterbacks having a confidence when they play high school football of being able to get away, create magic, because they're so good compared to the teams they may be competing against? That isn't going to work in the All-Star game.
Nope.
You have 6 guys around you as you run backwards.
Yeah. You know, coaches, the assistants have told me over the years, I know I'm repeating myself from year to year, but they always tell me, you know, if I had 2 of these All-Stars on my team every year, I would play for a state title every year. That's how talented the All-Stars that are picked to play in this game. So Aslan now facing his 2nd down and 18. Finds a receiver screen, and that's a nice play up to the 43-yard line. So up against the wind, Aslan throwing a nice pass. He's a good quarterback. He does some nice things.
Yeah, not easy to throw the ball to the side like that, but he does it accurately.
And Coach Dominic Dingle certainly remembers Carter Aslan, because Aslan passed, rushed, and scored a receiving touchdown in a game against Wichita Heights. So probably when Dominic Dingle was looking at his roster, he said, yep, that kid from Manhattan, let's get him on our team. I want him scoring for my team instead of against my team. So 3rd down and 10 here, 3rd down and 11. Ball's at the 43. West in control, up 26-8, inside 8 minutes to go in the 52nd annual Kansas Shrine Bowl. And then on the rush, that's big number 34. He's been Aiden Ellington has been tremendous. In fact, he's probably putting himself up for that MVP award for the East squad. We've called his name time and time again.
Yeah, he has been a master of busting through the line, making plays. Howie Rizak as well has been a thorn in the West side from a defensive perspective, and the West drove the ball backwards, just lost 10 yards. The only thing good you can say is the clock never stopped running.
Yep, it's getting close to 7 minutes, which makes the job of a rally even harder for the East squad. They're about to pick the football up, and interesting to note, like we've seen.
Remember the snap that went over the head of the punter?
Yeah.
That didn't end up being a bad play for the West, but it's worth watching right now. This is only the 3rd time they snapped the ball to a punt formation, one with the wind, and the one against the wind ended up being a crazy play, one of the craziest of all time, as they lose 5 yards for delay of game. ESPN's top 10 ought to include the play because it ended up looking like An awful negative play for the West and turned out to be a 15-yard penalty and a first down.
By the way, the official crewing, Bob Householder wears the white hat, Douglas Wilfong, Kevin Rain, Kyle Weber, John Schneider, Jason Dysecker, Eddie Smith is the back judge, and the coordinator officials has been Tyler Butch. And let me mention Tyler, it's not Butch, it's Butch. That's how the pronunciation is.
He blasts that punt 22 yards against the wind.
It seemed like a blast. I think he probably pulled a hamstring. He got so much behind it. 26-8 is our score, 6:45 to go, and we're going to take a break here. West leads the East in the final minutes of the Kansas Shrine Bowl. We're back in a moment.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Each day, we choose to take steps forward, to look out for each other, to put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions, home to possibility, and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
6:46 to go in the ball game. West leads East by a score of 26-8. A lot of all-stars in this game, including this young man.
Yeah, number 58 plays for one of the best programs in the state of Kansas, Mill Valley High School. And I want to make sure I give a personal shout-out to him. I've only met Abe once, so it's not because of Abe. It's actually because of his dad. His dad is Mick Schaefer. Grew up in a small town in the state of Kansas, loving playing all sports, football, basketball, and everything else.
And here's the East going long ball.
But after that, he went to Kansas City. And you remember the days of Metro Sports Cable?
Oh, yeah. Mick is a good friend of mine. Mick Schaefer.
Mick and I did games. We did shows together about the Chiefs and the Royals and college football. And then he now, if you're in the Kansas City area, is the sports anchor, the head of KSHB Channel 41, the NBC affiliate. So he's on the nightly news, pretty boy.
Star,
He'll love I said that, so he listens to this. Mick Schaefer, his son Abe, is his second son that's good at football, playing for Mill Valley.
Long receiver, incomplete once again, trying to draw a flag, but the second attempt to try to get the long ball. So Abe Schaefer is 6'4", 268. Mick is not 6'4", 268. I'm pretty sure about that.
No, he tells me he could play, post people up in the basketball games, and I think he's 6'1", but, you know, perfect shape, good-looking guy on TV, all of that kind of stuff. But Abe's going to go to Northwest Missouri State and play some good football. Obviously a great program at Mill Valley, and it's great to see Mick grow up. You know, I knew him before he even had kids, and now here he is with a Shrine Bowl player. So congratulations, and to all the parents out there. We didn't mention everybody, but all the parents should be very, very proud, as I know Mick is.
They're all good players. They're all good citizens, too. Otherwise, they don't get to play in the Kansas Shrine Bowl. So we know that, and that's a real honor from year to year to bring you this game. And everybody's got a great story to tell. There's no doubt. It's tough for us to get all the stories to work. And it's a sneak play, and I don't think they got it. This fourth down play went the other direction.
Another fourth down stop. Second in a row.
Preston Hagel from Goddard.
Third time in the game that the East has been forced to give up the football, not getting a first down as they try to sneak the ball in, not to the quarterback.
And they're going to measure it.
They gave it to Elsie Slaughter. Now, he was a high school quarterback at St. Thomas Aquinas, and even though Elsie didn't make it, all the other players, you know what they nicknamed him? Officer.
No. Officer.
Everybody was calling him the officer because he is on his way to the Army to play football.
That's great. What a good, that's
West
another good
Point.
story. I don't even know why they're measuring this. This doesn't look even close, just from our vantage point.
You realize Army is coming to play K-State in the non-conference?
Isn't that great? So they have the flex bone offense, do they not? Army,
yeah, they had a great season last year. They were 10-2, I believe. The West stops them, and they know the clock has run down to the 5:52 mark, and they're in great shape. They did their work when they had the wind. What an amazing decision by Dominic Dingle, the head coach, who got the first selection to start the game and says, give me the wind. And it set the tone all game long, how they used it so well in the first half, first quarter, and then in the third quarter, even though they had to kick both times, it was the wind at their back that made a difference. They got a punt return touchdown when the punt went backwards into the end zone and they recovered it, and they had an interception return against the wind, and that's going to be enough to win this ball game because they are smart enough to run the clock here.
So the West will take over first down and 10. They're in East Territory at the 42-yard line. And as we come to a conclusion here with the West in control of this football game, it's always a good time to mention some of the, Stan mentioned the alumni who played in this game. And this is quarterback Eli Jones. Among the names in the recent era, Cody Whitehair played for the Bears. All-Pro wide receiver Jordy Nelson. Former All-Pro NFL defensive back Terrence Newman, by the way, probably maybe is going to be on at least a candidate for the College Football Hall of Fame. NFL Hall of Famer Barry Sanders, we saw a couple of years ago. He came to the game. Former K-State Chiefs linebacker Gary Spaney, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl champion Mark Simino, and recent NFL draft choice K-State's Cooper Beebe was picked by the Cowboys, representing Kansas City Piper.
He was a starting center for the Dallas Cowboys as a rookie, and he never played center at K-State.
Isn't that something?
That's amazing.
Yeah, so on the rollout, here's Jones. Jones, the 40-yard line. You know, for me, I always expect somebody from a small school or maybe somebody not as heralded to kind of jump out. There's been certainly Eli Jones is one of them out of Norton, but he's a 1,000-point scorer in basketball. But his best sport, or maybe the sport he likes the most, is golf. So he's, at last check, was looking for a school to play golf at.
Has not decided yet. And he is a .3 handicap golfer.
Boy.
Not one handicap, .3.
Handoff up the middle, running back moves forward to the 35-yard line. For the East squad, they've had a good outing.
What's amazing, he's not the only guy who's going to go to college to golf. We have two in this game from the West squad. Drew Graham is going to play football at Southwestern and golf. And he's also near a scratch golfer. And you talk about the Great Shrine Bowl in the state of Kansas. He knows about the Great Shrine Bowl in the state of Nebraska. His brother Dawson in 2017 played in the Nebraska Shrine Bowl.
I didn't know that. Good research there. Fourth down and 3 at the 35-yard line. Of course, this isn't a punting situation. Jones is going to get the first down. Jones leans forward. It's very close. First down marker is the 33 or 32 and a half. And Jones is right there. We'll see if they're going to move the chains forward on the running play.
I think we got another missed fourth down conversion.
Nope.
Oh, there's a first down. Which is it? Where's the mark?
Where the officials are talking about it, and
where's the mark Ewing?
Where is the
It's East football, which means that is the fourth time today that the West, 4 times out of the 9 possessions, West has been stopped on fourth down. We've seen the East be stopped 3 times on fourth down. But field position is such a big factor with this win. 9 possessions tonight, and over half of them started in East Territory for the West. What a big factor it has been.
So 3:34 to go. East takes over, down 26-8. Scramble, trying to look for some room. Gets to the 35, close to the 40-yard line, a pickup of about 5 yards. A year ago, if you joined us, the East won. They broke a 6-game losing streak to the West with a 36-25 win. In that game, quarterback Dylan Dunn from Blue Valley Southwest connected on 25 of 33 passes for 307 yards, and he set 4 touchdown passes, which is a record. The West MVP and Clay Center's Brody Hayes had 12 tackles to go with a blocked punt return for a score. There were 6 Shrine Bowl game records that were either broken or tied in last year's game, and
including the touchdowns in a game record.
Yeah, was held by Stan Weber for how many years?
Well, since 1980.
He had two, and there were several ties right there.
Yeah,
right?
But now that was all gone as of last year with 3 touchdowns.
All right, we're getting told that we need to vote for the MVPs, and it's that time. So 3 minutes, 2 seconds to go. Meanwhile, first down and 10 for the East squad.
First choice is the wind.
Yeah, for MVP is the win. Can we vote for the win? So, okay, we're getting told no, you cannot vote for the win. All right, fine. If you don't like our sense of humor, then that's just great. All right, so when they do the MVP, they pick one for the East and one for the West. And I like, there's so many. This is going to be really, really tough.
It's so close.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Aiden Ellington and Howie Rezac, 1 and 2 two defenders for the East.
Okay. I'm going to go West Josh Burdick of Cheney, but I agree with your I think he set the table and got him settled down. And, oh boy, they made so many. There's probably
I'm going to put Brody Weir in there. He made the great play for the first touchdown of the game, and the ball was laying in the end zone.
That was like yesterday, wasn't it?
But that was the first touchdown of the game, and it was a very alert play. He's got to be in our top 3.
All right. So Aiden Ellington from St. Joe's Academy.
Howie Rezac.
And Howie Rezac.
And you might go. I'm going to include Christian McDonald and Brody Weir for the West because they scored 2 touchdowns, non-offensive touchdowns.
All right. Well, and our vote only counts as 1. I know we're broadcasters.
Talking while we're thinking here.
We should be important, but our vote only counts 1. Is that right? Or we get multiple points for voting? I'm being told no. She's all business. She's not here to play. Okay, so
that was hard. That was the hardest thing we've had to do today.
That was tough. All right, so 26-8 is our score here in the fourth quarter. Minute 51 to go.
And they get stopped for 4th down. So all 3 possessions by the East with the wind end up being stopped on 4th down. Congratulations to the West defense. That's not easy duty today.
I want to mention that on June 27th, 2026 is the next Kansas Shrine Bowl as the West takes over here with a minute 51 to go and this game in control. The game will head to Emporia for the next 3 consecutive summers. The Emporia State's Welch Stadium had hosted the game 6 times. We're going to take a break, though, before we say goodbye. It's 26-8 is our score. We're back to Dodge City in a couple of minutes.
To put a smile on someone's face just because you can. When we slow down, we feel the rhythm of life that holds us together. This is our home, our heart. Simply put, we are your family, your neighbors, your friends. We are Kansas. Local makes a difference. That's why Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas is proud to be the trusted choice of more Kansans than anyone else.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Possibility. At Shriners Children's, we deliver healing to kids with critical burn injuries, like game-changing advances in regenerative medicine and creating the highest standard of care. We never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs, proving time and again what's possible by empowering the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
26 Gators are scored. When that sun went down, that was much relief for the fans who are on hand. They're still here. Despite the one-sided score, it's been well attended, well-promoted game, and well played by both teams. Before the break, I mentioned, Stan, that June 27th of 2026 is the next Kansas Shrine Bowl. It'll be in Emporia for three consecutive summers. And Welch Stadium hosted the game 6 times starting in '98 and included last year's game. It marked the first time that the game will be played in the same stadium in consecutive years. That happening next summer. So be here. It's part of the Kansas summer, the tradition, a chance for us all to make a difference. And it's been a fun game. There's stuff that's happened in this game that I won't see for forever.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been crazy. Not a lot of penalties, but when they occurred, they were either controversial or a big part of the game. So a lot going on, but with Emporia having a contract for 3 more games, when we have gone 3 years further, you're going to look up and say they've hosted the game at Emporia State University 9 times, which will tie Wichita State and K-State. Bill Snyder Family Stadium has 9, and Wichita State also has 9, so move right up the ladder on that case. And this East win is a big deal. You mentioned earlier that the West has an advantage in all-time series 31-18-2. But winning 2 years in a row has not been easy for the East to do. The last time that they won 2 years in a row was 2015 and 2016. And this 18-point win, pretty significant differential. It doesn't seem like it's been that much in the ball game, but winning by 18 is the largest since that 2016 game when they won by 21. And that game was in Emporia, where the East scored more points, 48, than they ever have in a game. And a 48-27 score was the most points ever in Shrine Bowl. So big time for the East. I know there's a lot of pride. A lot of my friends played for the East, and when you think about the alumni, they haven't had as many bragging rights, but having 2 wins in a row is a good sense of momentum.
Well, I was looking at some of the sidelines. It's interesting that we got minute 27 to go, and Coach Garrett Michael calling his team together. There's some players that haven't played a lot that are in the ball game. I haven't mentioned Eric Smith, the third, 6'4", 218-pounder out of Atchison, playing for the East squad. Mason Faith, offensive lineman out of Rock Creek. Abe Schaefer, who made a really nice play out of Mill Valley. We mentioned him, but there's an Ashton Schaefer out of Marysville that made the defensive play. So there's a handoff, 49-yard line, and both teams just playing hard, playing to the end. Their college careers or the last minute of their high school career is coming to a conclusion. They're making the most of it. Wyatt Flood into the play. As was Quentin Harding. Harding's out of Chanute. He's going to play at Hutch. He's one of those 10 future Blue Dragons. In fact, Quentin Harding, he was a game week replacement. The East squad had to scramble to get some bodies, and the guys they got, everybody loved to have them. But you see some, it used to be they'd only have 2 per team, and the assistants have a lot to do with it when they have replacements, because a lot of them are their players. They want to feel comfortable with the guys they bring to camp, and they understand the assignments. You got to have good citizens, and you got to have players that can, not play a prominent role if that's what's going to happen for them. That's on the West sideline. They're talking about how to execute the last minute and 19 seconds of this football contest as best they can, representing their hometowns.
Yeah, erase everything I said about the East winning. It's the West winning, so I apologize for that. They're not going to get 2 wins in a row. The West is going to be back in front.
And the West has won most of them. There was a time when the competition for the East All-Stars, particularly because they have additional All-Star games in the Kansas City area, And the fact that
there's a Kansas-Missouri game there.
Yeah, and they're reporting earlier and earlier to college. So, and you got the NIL rules, and you got 105 players on the team, and a lot of things going on in the college ranks that are affecting how the roster shapes up. And here's an end around. The ball carrier is Nash Ray. Ray is the kid from Haven who's the baseball player. Nice to see him. And he, talking about last-minute replacement, he was about as 11th hour as you can get. And real thrill for him. So, minute 9 to go. Clock did not move forward, and now the East and West are having a little bit of a conversation.
Frustration building a little bit, because you knew with about 10 minutes left in the game, when the East did not convert on 4th down, that the West was going to be able to run the football and run out the clock with the lead that they have. And you just can't let the emotions get to you. These kids have just been perfect. All the coaches have bragged about how well everybody's gotten along, how everyone's followed the rules. For instance, getting ready for practice, the East team talked about every practice started before it was supposed to start because everyone was out there early.
Right.
They said, well, let's just start stretching and going, and let's look and get ready for practice to roll. And they look up, and coach looks down and goes, wait a second, it's not even time for practice to start, but everyone's already so engaged. So it's been that way with both teams, and even though the East loses the game tonight, they really had a good experience throughout the week. The coaches were very proud of them, and again, the wind is such a giant factor. It affected everything in this game, and the East just not playing it out as well as the West. The West took the big chance, said we'll take the win in the first and third quarter, and it's going to pay off.
Let's mark on your calendars why you got it out for next year's Shrine Bowl. The calendar, March 28th of 2026 at Newman University in Wichita. That's when the 2026 KWCS Kansas Shrine Duels are scheduled to take place. That's the new wrestling event. The West won 23 of the 30 matches last year. The event helped raise $25,000 to benefit the Shriners Children's Hospital. Looks like that's going to be a part of the Shrine Bowl moving forward, the wrestling event and then the football to follow.
Little swinging gate here. Some of the plays they had deep in the playbook being ready to run by the West.
So 4th down play here. And there's Jones. He's going to pitch it back.
Quarterback to quarterback. And he was going to try to throw the ball downfield.
Yeah, he was looking for a receiver. Didn't want anybody downfield. Looked like Drew Graham out of Winfield was downfield, as was Weston Rock out of Abilene, but both were pretty heavily covered. So the East is going to turn, the West is going to turn the ball over on downs. You were keeping track of turning over on downs. It's
been incredible. It's been the story of the whole fourth quarter, as 5 of the 6 possessions ended up with 4th down misses. So the defense is stepping on up. 5th time the West has been stopped on 4th down, and the East has been stopped 4 times, giving up the football, not making and converting the 4th down.
Well, the high school football season is coming quicker than most of us think, but the defending champs, a lot of the representatives were on the field. Gardner Edgerton at 6A, 5A St. Thomas Aquinas, 4A is Andover Central, 3A Andale, southeast of Saline, Conway Springs, Hoxie, Axtell, and Weskin are the defending champs from a year ago, last November. Nice pass, nice hit by Terrell King. And he popped up. That was a tough hit from Jackson Toops to take. And he popped right back up. Look at this hit.
Big time hit.
That's Todd Brown, by the way. I got the wrong number. Todd Brown had caught the pass.
And Terrell King, you mentioned his dad was an assistant coach. What a nice hit on that play. Good throw by the quarterback.
2nd down and 3. Back to pass. Incomplete.
If you look at
Max Huston.
If you look at Huston, who it looks like Aaron Tunstall's coming up slow, but Huston didn't think he was going to go back in the game. His shoulder pads aren't completely hooked up.
No, he's got that.
That's just part of his rib package. It's usually tied in with your shoulder pads.
Yeah, okay.
And that brings up something I did want to talk about before we get away from this game.
Back to pass, going to keep it. Huston makes a move at the 40-yard line, heading toward the far sideline. He's hit by a couple of defenders, including number 7, Preston Hagel. Also in on the play, Cooper Marks. Marks out of Andale has made his presence felt as well. He's number 34.
I want to talk about equipment because Garrett Michaels coaching his last game as head coach in high school football, the Sabetha head coach for the East. He really learned a lot about football after playing high school football at Silver Lake from Jim Shorty Kleinow, who's one of the most famous people in the state of Kansas when it comes to football. He was the equipment manager at K-State from the late 70s through the Snyder years. And Garrett Michael worked for him. He was an equipment manager for K-State.
I didn't know that. And the game is over. The West will win it by a score of 20-68 in the midfield. The All-Stars from the west side of the state congratulate one another. Great game performed by the West team as they took an 8-7 deficit and scored 19 consecutive points in the second half, and they'll walk away with a 26-8 victory. We're going to take a break here, and then we'll come back to wrap it up. West over East, 26-8. Stay with us for the final words coming your way next.
Do you feel safer driving a truck?
I do.
Okay, then. Let's play a game. Who would win, truck versus mailbox?
Truck.
Truck versus car?
Probably truck.
How about truck versus tree?
Tree.
But you're in a truck.
No, it won't make any difference.
But a seatbelt would.
There's no argument with that.
Who do you make it home for?
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.
1, 2, 3, right. 1, 2, 3, left.
Driving. There's the three. Great match for both ladies. They both deserve a round of applause. No doubt about it. What an effort on both. Wow. This is a lot of fun here.
At Shriners Children's, we're home to the world's leading pediatric orthopedic care. Because so many life-changing advancements start here. We provide access to the best doctors and never allow your ability to pay for services to compromise the care your child needs. We're the first place to turn for the most common or complex orthopedic conditions, home to possibility, and empowering kids to achieve the extraordinary. Shriners Children's, the most amazing care anywhere.
West has defeated the East by a score of 26-8, an 18-point victory. Looks much larger than it actually was because at halftime, East was an 8-7 leader. And then in the third and fourth quarter, the West came out and took control of things. There's your MVPs, by the way. Josh Burdick for the West squad, and Aiden Ellington out of Lansing wins the MVP for the East. So our votes did count tonight. And congratulations to Dominic Dingle, head coach of Wichita Heights, on the West team winning the award. By the way, the MVP awards come with a $500 scholarship thanks to the special contributors to the Kansas Shrine Bowl. The MVP awards come from a former Shrine Bowl All-Star attached. Paul Kaufman award goes to the West Squad MVP, who was played for the Packers, Chiefs, Vikings, was out of Chase High School, and the Gary Spaney Award goes to the East MVP out of Manhattan High in 1974. The other awards that are handed out include the Mike Bell Most Inspirational Award for a West player, the Russ Reeder Most Inspirational Award for an East player, and the Paul and Lucy Miller Outstanding Impact Award is a chosen athlete for both teams. Final word, Stan. We saw a game that we won't forget anytime soon, just for the unusual things that happened.
Yeah, again, strong legs run so weak legs can walk. That's the biggest thing. We kicked off the football season with All-Star football, a celebration of Kansas football. And, hey, what is it about games in Dodge City? Only the second. The first in 19 was 26-7 West. Today, 26-8, a victory for the West.
All right, we're going to go to Leon Liebel. He's on the sideline with the winning coach. Leon.
Yeah, I'm with Dominic Dingle, the head coach of the winning West team. And Going to ask you, how important was that coin toss and the decision to?
Very much. That was one of our game plan pieces. We knew coming out west the wind was going to swirl, and we just going to figure out how we were going to handle the, 2 of those quarters. And I think we handled, all but maybe one of those quarters, just how we drew it up over the week. So we're super excited. The guys, the staff, the administration, our leadership did an outstanding job of giving us a dynamite plan this week, and our kids went above and beyond everything that we asked of them, and we're just so daggum proud of them.
Going back to that decision to take the win.
Yes, sir.
It couldn't work any better, though.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people didn't know what was going on.
Yes, sir.
They
did. They didn't. So most people said
Brody was smart enough to recover.
Yes, sir. Most people said you kicked the ball twice. I said yes. That was our plan. We were just trying to make sure that we were giving ourselves an opportunity to be in it in the fourth quarter, and we thought that was the best opportunity to do so.
We know what this game's about every year. It's for the kids in the hospitals and all. There is a competitive this year, a sense of wanting to win. Yes, sir. You guys seem like you're pretty happy about that.
Yes, sir. Everything this week was about preparation. Later on in the week, everything was about the kids and how we can dial in and be, just a blessing to them. And then, we were able to come out and show that everything that our young men did throughout the week and then to tonight, this is just an awesome culmination to their hard work.
And finally, for you personally, what was this like for you?
Just a huge honor and a blessing just to be a part of this great cause and Shriners organization and Shriners game.
All right, good. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Coach Dominic Dingle, West head coach, the winning team.
Thank you.
Back to you, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Leon, with Dominic Dingle. Stan, final thoughts from you on what we just saw in the 52nd annual Kansas Shrine Bowl.
A great celebration. It's nice to see towns like Dodge City get so excited about this. And everywhere we go, the Shrine Bowl is a big deal. But congratulations to the Shriners who do so much all year long. They get to be brought up and put to the attention of everybody out there. Hey, look at this Shrine Bowl game. But every day they're out trying to raise money and do things and make people's lives better. So these football players, they know they're lucky that they were able to play football and help get money to help the kids. That's the easy thing. Thank you, Shriners, for all the work that you do. And Mark, congratulations on your 25th year doing the game.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of fun together.
We have great.
Can't wait till we get to Emporia next June.
Well, before we go, we wish to send a warm thank you to a number of folks who have helped with this honorary event. The Dodge City Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Dodge City Sports Commission have served as the official host city partners. We pass along our gratitude for Kansas Shrine Bowl Cheer Camp Director Samantha Butner, Kansas Masonic All-Star Band Director Mr. Jason Richens, the 15-person Kansas Shrine Bowl Board of Directors headed by President Peter Martin. Our media coordinator has been Kyle Leroy. The executive director of the Kansas Shrine Bowl is Bryce Kessler. The events and business manager is Whitney Kessler. And last and certainly not least, we pass along our gratitude to Telecast director Mike Nelson, technical director Paul Nelson, and their crew for their excellent work tonight. Once again, the final score, West 26, East 8. For Stan Weber and Leon Liebel, this is Mark Ewing saying thanks for watching and good night, everyone, from Dodge City.
Where you find passion, you also find community. A place for people with something to prove. A place for unity and rivalry. For breaking barriers and shattering ceilings. How does a place like this even exist? Where do you find it? The truth is, you don't find it. You build it.